Madness Podcast, the best of the underground. Big Madness, your ritual.
Hey, what's going on, folks? Thanks for tuning in. You're listening to Ritual Madness Podcast, and I am your host, The Hexakin. I am sitting here with the guys from Common Choir, and hope you guys are ready for a fun podcast. We definitely are. Let me get some microphones on here. Hopefully, we got the right ones on here. You guys talking to your microphones real quick?
Sandwiches.
Yeah, saw it.
Chris, how about you?
Good evening.
All right, let me see if I got people fucking calling me and shit. All right, here. That's what sucks about having a smartwatch on your wrist. You can feel when people are calling you. Turn your phones off, goddammit. Okay, you're listening to episode 172, Common Choir. Do me a favor, check out ritualmadnesspodcast.com. On the right side, there's a multitude of links you can connect with us on. iTunes, Stitcher, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm going to start putting a lot more content up. I finally got a program that actually is able to fucking hold the load, unlike some of the girls I've met these days. But no, I'm kidding. I'm married. I can't do that. But anyways, do me a favor. Download the Listen to My Radio app. That's LISTEN, number 2, My Radio, and search Ritual Madness Podcast. And you can listen to the station at all times. We're fucking on all the time. Right below there's an Amazon link. Do me a favor. Click that Amazon link. If you're looking to buy something, click that Amazon link and bookmark it as your own. So every time you use that Amazon link, kicks us back a couple pennies at no cost to you. Below there's a little donation link as well. Donate to the podcast. Keep the lights on. Keep this shit going. If you're in a band or you have friends that are in bands, go ahead, say it again. If you have friends in bands, do me a favor. Send your stuff to ritualmadnesspodcast@gmail.com. If you just want to tell me how bad the fucking show sucks, I would love to hear from you so I can tell you to go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
But also check out Lowbrow Saints Tattoo Collective. Good friend of mine, Jason's Tattoo Shop, 3500 Minnehaha Avenue, South Minneapolis, 612-353-4755. Also check out dotwpod.com, another podcast here in the Twin Cities. Also KFAI's Fresh Air Radios, The Root of All Evil, and The Roar of the Underground. Check those out as well. And we're done with the blabbity blab right now. And thank you for tuning in once again. You're listening to Ritual Madness Podcast, episode 172. The guys from Common Choir. How are you guys doing tonight? Good?
Sweet.
Yeah, doing pretty
Awesome.
Yeah, awesome.
Happy to be here.
I'm good.
Sick.
I'm
Thank
good
you
now
for
that I'm
coming.
here.
You're sick?
No, like
My voice
stay
sounds
sick,
so-
bro. Stay sick.
Awesome. Why don't we go around the table? Tell me who you are and what you do in the band.
My name is Dusty. I play guitar and like to party.
The fiddle.
Yeah, here. My name is Brandon Rorick. I play drums. Been playing drums with this band since 2016. It's been a fun ride and hopefully a longer one. So
Good deal. Good deal. Welcome.
This is Chris, and I
You got
try to
sweet
play
tits.
guitar. It's
You
a
do.
pretty fun time.
You play guitar pretty damn good, buddy.
Not too bad.
I know you a little bit.
A little bit.
Just a little.
Not good enough for outside the murder.
So I want to shut it, you fucking bastard. I actually heard about you guys through Bill Gelberg. I was looking for some bands to get on the podcast, and I hit you guys up a couple months ago, and you guys, you hit me up, and I think you guys were writing, or there was something going on where you guys didn't have that. You were in the process of doing something, and we weren't able to lock down a date. And then all of a sudden, I get a message from Chris saying, "Hey, dude, do you remember me? You kicked me out of your band." And
that is true.
And it was kind of crazy because we were just talking about Chris like a fucking week or 2 weeks before that. It was like the universe was telling me to get you guys on the podcast even more. So it was refreshing to hear from you. It was cool to hear from you. You were always a super nice guy. Being in the band with me, and had nothing but pleasant experiences with you.
Yeah, it was cool because you have a big personality, and playing with you guys, I followed Outside the Murder after my departure and kind of what each one of you guys were doing, especially you and Brad, and then so to see you again at the Metal Soda show and see that you still have the huge personality and you're running that thing alongside with Bill that night. It was really fun to reconnect and say, hey, this is a good thing to do this podcast.
Yeah, for
It's
sure,
a lot of
man.
fun.
So what did you guys think of that whole show? What
Dude,
was your...
honestly, I was really hoping we could play.
Yeah.
That would have been sick. We were all kind of talking about it like, oh, man, there's so many people here, dude. What a
Yeah.
great show this would be.
Right.
It was equally cool to see our homies. play,
Oh,
though.
but more so, yeah, dude. Mirror being, I
Those guys
used
rock.
to work with Mike
Love those guys.
Erzfeld.
Yeah.
I used to work with him at a painting company, and we were always talking about, playing shows together.
Sure.
And at that time, I was already with Common Choir.
Right.
And he was just building his band. And then we played a show at the Opinion in Newport, the Opinion Brewery in
Yep.
Newport,
for Nick
Minnesota.
Bloom's birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we were playing with Mirror Being, and it was sick. So
I think the thing
Yeah.
for me with Metal Soda was, to be succinct, was just simply, I've been in the metal scene for, 15 years now, and I really enjoyed seeing how it came. I've never been at a show or an event where the metal community has come together like that. It did that back in the early 2000s when things were, I guess, bigger. But I hadn't seen kind of that camaraderie in a long time. So to see the event pull everybody together and see people from a bunch of different bands, and then just people coming in and seeing that
It was
the
so cool.
Amsterdam, fairly full like that was it just felt good, and made me feel like, hey, metal's still alive around
It's
here.
just like
Yeah.
everywhere you look, you see somebody from a band that you've either played with or you've seen perform before, and it was just so cool to see that many people in one place at one time. I just
dude,
wish every show was like that.
It really makes me go all fucking rubbery because to hear you guys actually give it so much praise, because it last year it was, I had so many bands coming up to me because I hosted the first 2 years I hosted. I was lucky enough to host it, and it was really cool to have people come up to me and go, dude, this is the first time that I'd ever been able to come to a show and not have to worry about lugging gear. Like, I get to hang out with all of these people and have drinks and actually not worry about my set time and when I had to get on and when I had to get off stage and where my gear was going and all this shit. And I was fucking thumbs up. Last year it was really, I wanted to push that on people of the unification of the music scene, because back in the day, like Chris was saying, there was a lot of camaraderie. There was a lot of people. We all do this. It doesn't matter who you are, what band you're in. If you don't like something, you're always going to share it with the guys. A lot of people, there are people out there that aren't afraid to share it out in the open, which I've never been one of those people. I always give people praise for what they do and the time that they put in to be a musician and all. And I might not like what they do, but they, if they do it well, I'm always give them the thumbs up and say, keep going. I never try to bash people on the podcast.
I'm totally
I
the
feel what
same
you're
way.
saying.
Yeah,
Totally.
They're out there doing it, and I can respect that.
Yeah,
because
and-
it's one thing about saying talking trash, but I mean, if you're not out there like doing it,
Yeah,
it's
you're
like
just
you have really
you're
no
a
room
fucking
to talk.
you're an
Yeah,
asshole
totally
for doing
true,
it. You're a
totally.
total asshole for shitting on it. And here's the thing: is that Bill, took this out of his own pocket, his own money. He got the venue. He had people in the scene help him get the venue. The guy was in the hospital fucking 2 weeks prior to the first one. He was had a colostomy bag and fuck. I mean, he was sick as fuck.
Right.
And his wife was there really looking after him. And he was just so close to not having it happen and then having it do well. And they were like 60 people away from pulling down that barrier they usually have at the Amsterdam
That was last
from
year,
that
right?
front bar.
Yeah,
Last
yeah.
year. And then this year it was like they automatically gave him the full room. And I was like, dude, you're
Respect.
really fucking, you're really doing well here. And the crowd was amazing. And everybody's been super, super cool. Outside of the venue, he takes a lot of criticism for all of the shit that he does, which is, why is he spending his money when he's, so sick? Why is he worrying about, doing all this? Being selfless is something that a few people understand. And they think that, he's doing it for, the guy doesn't give a shit about being known, hey, I'm Bill from Metal Soda. Like, the guy doesn't wave a fucking flag.
Nope.
He might wear his own shirt. Like, I mean, if you're in a band and you don't have your own shirt and wear it at work or somewhere, hey, what does that mean? And you tell, oh yeah, well, this is my band. You know what I mean? It's like you're promoting your fucking self anyways. You know what I mean? But Bill's not that guy.
No, I feel like more people know his name than who he is if they were to like line him up in a
Yeah.
room. Like they know his name, but
They've never met him. And
They've never
shook his
actually
hand.
met him,
and,
yeah.
Dude, I've had friends that I've known for years, totally shit on what he's done. And it's like, I look at him and go, listen, man, you're not doing this. And he's helping us all out. You know what I mean? Like he really is. He's bringing us together. And that, I think, where we had the common ground for this whole thing and why he asked me to be the host of the thing was because we have that same thought. We want to make everyone come together and play shows together. And I know that you guys go to shows and don't want to see the same fucking 5 bands play
Right.
in the same club, 3 months apart from each other. You know what I mean?
just from the
Yeah.
people who got nominated for different categories, I discovered so many great bands
Right.
out of Minnesota, and just that alone was priceless. You know,
Yeah,
like
for sure.
Yeah, I personally think, like you mentioned it a lot at Metal Soda about how, you know, oh, the venues, you know, we're running out of venues.
Yeah.
We got to try to do what we can to keep
Yeah.
the scene alive. Like, from what I've known since high school, I moved out here from New York, but to get to the point, in high school is when I started to develop listening to all these different metal bands.
Sure.
And it was like an every weekend thing, going to Station 4 or
Yeah.
going somewhere.
Yeah.
And, you know, with venues closing down, yeah, there's a few we all know of. I think that the music scene in Minnesota is still, you know, for metal,
really
is
strong.
still through,
Yeah.
it's
when
through the
one
roof, you know.
venue closes, I just feel like it just opens a door for another place to host, you know. And I'm seeing places like Mortimer's and Hook and Ladder just popping up out of nowhere,
Yeah.
and that's awesome. That's exactly what this community needs, you know.
Right. And the thing is that it's great to have these venues open up, and that's fantastic. Especially when one falls and two open, that's fantastic. But the main fact of it all is that we have to go out and support each other no matter what. And I can't get to, I mean, you know, if you have families or, you know, girlfriends or whatever, and you got work and you got all this shit, you can't get out to every single show. But to be able to, you know, maybe help on social media or, you know, try to turn other band, you know, buy their shit online, you know, turn other people onto it. And Bill is one of those guys that actually, you know, gets the CDs. He fucking studies them. He pushes people's bands forward to other people that are like-minded. That
If you have
wanna
a show,
yeah.
he'll share your flyer.
Yep,
You know, even before I met Bill and I didn't know Bill was behind Metal Soda, I was contacting Metal Soda just to ask him, please, would you consider sharing our flyer? We'd be truly grateful. And then, you know, he reciprocated, and it was just been an awesome experience ever
man.
since.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I mean, I asked him to come and be a co-host on the show, and he's like, well, I don't really have much to say. And when I talk to him, I just don't get that vibe from him, you know? It's when he engages, he really is articulate, he fucking knows what he's talking about, and he has a passion for it. And that's what I was trying to get him to come on the show and be a part of it, because he really is passionate about what he does, man. He likes to help people out, and I feel the same way. I promote every single band that if I see their flyer, and it's, you know, I spent the last 3 days on my website revamping a bunch of shit. I had a mutual friend in the club doing my event calendar. She since got a better job and started doing other shit. But we were covering 5 states of tours and local bands, and she had people working for her that were just gathering flyers and handing them to her, and she's putting them on the calendar. The last couple days, that's what I've been doing, is just put, you know, all the flyers that I have on my Facebook page, I put them all on my calendar. And anytime somebody has a show, that's what I try to do, is to promote, to get people to support other bands and get out there. And like I was saying, it's really determines whether or not these clubs stay open or not, is whether we can get these people to get off their asses and get to shows and support these bands. And fucking, you can have, you know, 20 shirt designs, but if nobody's buying your fucking shirts or buying your CDs, you're stuck with all this merch, man. So you gotta
grind.
Go out there.
yeah,
and
man,
promote yourself,
you
man.
gotta
Yeah,
grind, dude. You gotta
grind,
hustle. It's
definitely.
fucking it's possible if you work your ass off. And so many people think that it's not like it used to be, Chris. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was word of mouth back in the day, man. If a band was good, it was word of mouth. And it is that now, but you didn't have to hustle as much as you do now. Now it's all the YouTube and the fucking, you know, Facebook videos and, you know, things like that, where people can watch your whole set if somebody records it, and they go, oh, I've seen them.
Yeah.
I don't have to go to the fucking club and you know, and stay
Right,
till fucking bar close. You know what I mean? Back in the day, it was like a show of stature, whether you could keep a crowd till the very end. If you were the headlining band and you were able to keep that crowd till the very end, that meant you were doing something well. And now it's like, okay, we want to go on, you know, in the feature spot, where, you know, right in the middle slot. Everybody
Exactly.
wants that middle slot, and nobody wants to step up to be that headlining band. And people bum out. I've been booking at Lee's Liquor Lounge for 2 years now, and everybody, you know, once it hits 12 o'clock, everybody wants to get in their area town, get a nightcap in that area. They don't have a long way to drive. If
Exactly.
they're in the city or outside the city or whatever, they get over to their end of town and they leave the rest of the bands sitting there, you know, like, fuck, we just played for nobody. You know what I mean? It's like we just
We've
had
had a couple
glorified
of those
practice.
so far. Yeah, I mean, for being a band for going about 2 years now, That's definitely happened like once or twice.
Greg,
You got to roll with the punches, man.
Yeah, you do.
Still
you do.
fun, though.
Yeah, you know, I mean, if you're getting out there and you're putting your time in, it is really fun to fucking to play anyways, and you should be happy to get out of your studio space and, you know, maybe get $50 or $25 or whatever. And it isn't even really about the money, man. You know, it's
Well, and to piggyback off of what you just said, Greg, you know, I don't do this for the money. I don't really care too much about the money and any money that we do make.
We
I just
spend so much money in this.
I just hope it
Yeah,
goes.
dude.
I just hope it goes towards the band. But Greg, I'm sure you can empathize with this. You know, I remember playing back, you know, in the 2005 area, and I, you know, played in a band that frankly was not the caliber of band that I'm playing in now in Common Choir. Not even close.
Sure.
And we would play shows, just shows that we played like 4 or 5 songs at. We didn't have to sell tickets for. We didn't have to really promote, and we would still make, you know, a couple $100.
Yeah.
And now it's like, you know, we're working our asses off a lot harder for these types of shows, and we'll draw more, but we make no money from it.
Right.
And that's okay. We don't need to make a lot of money for it. You know, that's not why we do this. That's not why I do it. I mean, money's nice and everything. But that's just the contrast, the difference again between,
Yeah.
you know, 10, 15 years ago versus now. You probably understand that.
oh, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I know what you're saying. I'm the youngest one here, but I understand for sure. I actually have a comment off of that with just like it being about the money, whether it is or isn't. It
Yeah.
really isn't. I can vouch for that myself because personally, I think the big goal at the end of this is to have the experience of playing in front of crowds
Right.
that are like, you know,
Right.
20, 30,000 people. Like, okay, if you're doing that, you're going to be getting money, but that comes second. You know,
Right,
it's the
right.
feeling of being able to have people know who you are. Like, dude, oh yeah, Common Choir, they're going to be here in town tonight.
Right.
No way, let's go.
Right.
And I'm
know,
going to
that-
piggyback off what you're
It's my
saying.
image, you know.
And the reason I do it personally is because nothing else gives me the satisfaction
Fucking A, man.
than being on the stage and doing what I love with my good buddies
Yeah,
in my
man.
band.
Throwing
And
down,
Exactly,
dude.
right.
You know
Throwing
what?
down.
When I'm
Throwing
up there,
down.
when I'm up there,
The purge, dude. The purge is, you know, you're all of the shit that you accrue through the week, whether it's
leave it up
know,
there.
shit at work or I mean even at band practice. You know what I mean? You practice a couple times a week. You're purging yourself of all this bad shit, and I've tried to explain that
Release.
to so many people. Exactly. You're the frustration that one person can have. I mean, you just see this shit, and I don't want to get into this, but the whole school shooting shit. I mean, there's so much shit going on in the world right now. There's so much craziness going on in the world, and you know, with mental illness and being, you know, horrible diets, and you know, I mean, it fucks with your chemicals in your head.
Oh, yeah.
So when you're dealing with all this bullshit, and then you have your kids, and then you have your wife, or you have your girlfriend, or you have, you know, buddies that are going through a bunch of shit, it all trickles down onto you, no matter how you try to deflect it or jam it down. You know, men are known to jam down their feelings and not be emotional. You know, like women,
Exactly.
you're not being a bitch about shit. You know,
So how do we
I'm
get
a
it
tough
out?
guy.
We're not little
exactly.
bitches.
So you flip
No,
that
no.
switch. You flip that switch and you purge yourself from it. I can't even tell you how many times I've come home from practice and my wife is like, "The fuck is wrong with you?" And I'm like, I'm good. I'm fucking good. I just got. It's like getting tattooed or going to therapy.
Therapy,
You know.
yeah.
It's fucking.
it's like that cigarette after you get laid, man.
Yeah, yeah. Or
Sorry.
you know, getting off of work and blowing a joint or whatever you got to do, or a dude or whatever you got to do. But you know, the thing is that you're letting it all out, man. You know, and I'm totally there with you, man. When you get up on stage and it's like
Nothing.
I mean, even at
compares.
practice, you throw down a little bit, but when you get up there and you have you know 10, 20, fucking 1,000 people,
people.
throwing metal signs up or just
Don't matter.
thrashing around.
Right.
It
Yeah,
really
we haven't even gone across. Obviously, we haven't gone to the East and West Coast like
Sure.
doing tours and stuff yet. But we've had like out of Minnesota area shows like
Yeah.
in Iowa and stuff.
Midwest.
Yeah, and like we played. There was the one that we played.
We've been.
It was
in,
at like that
the Beer
hall,
Stube.
the
Beer
hall. Yeah, the
Stube
beer
in
stube. That
Moline.
was a sick show.
That was awesome.
Like you know, it's going out there, being on stage in front of people you don't know.
in
they
a
don't
town
know
you've
you.
never been in.
You know, and then all of a sudden
And then
you
you
see
get-
them like smiling,
you
banging
get a
their heads, all that
response.
stuff. Yeah, that's
For
what
people
it's
that
about.
might have never heard of you.
Dude, they're
before.
just looking at you like, you know, that dog.
Who are
puzzle
these
look.
guys?
And then all of a sudden you catch them with a riff, and they're like, you just see their faces change, and you see their demeanor change, and all of a sudden they're like really apprehensive, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Fuck yeah, I could totally feel this." And when you're nervous too, you know, I've been doing this a long time, singing and being in front of people, and I still get nervous as fuck. It doesn't matter who I'm, you know, how long I'm in between. I still
forget
get
to
nervous.
eat when we have a show.
Dude,
You know, like,
I hate eating before the show. 'Cause
dude,
always
I just,
feel like,
I don't even think
Same,
about
same.
it, and then you know, I'll start drinking beers and like,
I never forget
shit,
to
I
eat.
didn't eat.
Yeah.
Now I'm screwed. You know,
But you know, I think hopefully you two would agree, and Greg, maybe you agree too. You know, sometimes when you play a show that's out of town, or maybe it seems like it's an effort to get there, and you drive a long distance, spend a lot of money on gas, and maybe the audience isn't as big as you were hoping for,
Sure.
but the memory of seeing a handful of people that were impacted by what you did and had a look on their face or came up to you after that were like satisfied with your performance and
100%.
your,
Yeah,
art,
dude,
your craft,
100%.
that memory of that makes it the
fuck
effort worth
yes,
it.
man.
sometimes
Absolutely.
it's just about spending time with your homies in a van
I agree with you, dude.
on the way there and on the way back, and then
Because
you know, talking
it's just
and being a
you.
band.
Yeah, dude, it's just you
It's the
guys.
camaraderie of
Nasty
dude.
farts, all that good
together.
stuff.
Yeah, we were talking about that at the Medis. We were talking about a show that we played in. We played 2 shows back there. One in Spooner, Wisconsin, and then one in Madison the following night. And we were in Spooner, and we were fucking wasted, you know. And this dude pops up out of nowhere. My guitar player at the time, he's having back troubles, you know, so he's in a lot of pain. And we were already drinking, and this guy pops up and he just whips out this baggie. And this dude gave me this metal sign. He went to the Wacken Open Air Festival in Europe.
I would fucking die to
And
go to
he
that.
brought that back from Wacken, and he passed away last year. And this
God
dude,
bless.
sorry.
he pulls out this bag of Vicodin, dude, and he just goes woof, like this, and it's just this fucking stack of pills. And he hands them to our guitar player, and he's just sitting there, oh, dude, and he ate a bunch of Vicodin, and he's just all mellow.
Have a
you know?
Tylenol.
And so we that was the conversation of going to Madison and getting to Madison and starting that party all over again. And then losing a guitar player. I got so drunk I don't remember going into a casino. Apparently I ate at a casino. We got kicked
buffet,
out. Dude, we got kicked out.
That's the Ho Chunk Casino.
Yeah,
Hey, I'm
we
just gonna send a
were
message
crazy.
to the people that listen to this: stick to weed, stay off the painkillers, man. Seriously.
Oh, opiates are
Steer
fucking
clear.
bullshit, dude.
Don't do the Tide Pod challenge.
Yeah, no, do that.
Or the Wade Boggs challenge.
Dude, you see the fucking guy vaping that fucking Tide Pod shit? You see that?
Did he really?
Oh my
I
god,
didn't.
dude.
No.
He's just fucking coughing.
My
but
bass
the-
player would probably be into
Dude, the
that.
fucking smoke that he blew out. I was like,
Oh,
God,
that must have
damn,
sucked.
dude.
I bet a few
was
nights ago. Oh my bad, Dusty. But a few nights ago, I was actually watching a video on Facebook, and it was one of his buddies. It was this guy who was like sleeping. He wakes up, goes to his e-cig. His buddy put pepper spray in there.
Oh man.
So he's dying, and you had like
That's
a bunch
brutal.
of dude. Like he was suffering, and he was cracking up. He was like, "Yeah, dude, it was a joke. It was pepper spray." He was like, "Oh, it hurts," you know.
Yeah.
Like, and there was just a bunch of angry reactions and people saying, "You shouldn't do that. That's dangerous," which I think it is too.
Wow, yeah, holy fuck, man.
I wouldn't
That's
do
just
it.
Crazy.
Hey, you know, I don't mean to interrupt your Tide Pod stuff, but Greg, I just wanted to ask real quick. When you were in Madison, do you happen to remember the name of the venue you played at?
We played at the Wisco.
Okay,
Nice.
I just asked because I had went through Madison a few times, and I remember to make this succinct. I was going through Madison on the way to Chicago with a girlfriend of mine back
Yeah.
in 2009, and we were staying in downtown Madison, and we were walking through, and there's a venue down there called the Great Dane,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden I see Jim LaMarca from Chimera,
Uh-huh.
No
their
way,
bass
dude.
player, walk out stumbling around.
You've never
and-
told me about this.
And the whole band all of a sudden walked out, and Chimera was one of my favorite bands.
Mine-
played
mine
with those
too.
guys.
Mine
played
too.
with those guys.
Those guys throw for the fuck down. I love those guys. They're super nice, and they walked out. I didn't even know they were playing for some reason. I from Minneapolis. I didn't check showtimes in Madison. But anyways, they all stumble out to the tour bus, and then me and this girl who's never heard of them before, I of course had started chatting them up, and they're all
Holy fuck, that's Chimera. Who?
Chris is over there fangirling hard.
yeah. I was very turned on.
That's cool, dude. Did you slam it in her after that, or what?
Did I what?
Did you slam it in her since you were all turned
He's
on?
not at liberty to say. He's married, dude.
Later than I did, yeah, but
Her and then a few other people? No, just kidding.
not that cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Not as cool as Miles.
Well, let's take a music break. Let's do that real quick, and then we'll come back and actually get back to you guys because we kind of went off on the whole Medis thing, and then
Hey, it's fun.
That's what we do here.
Can we just talk the whole time?
It's the ADD fucking podcast. We'll just bounce around quite a bit. Go ahead.
I was going to say before the break, back to Bill Jalberg real quick, and I'll cap this off. Hey, Bill, if you ever listen to this, maybe I need to tell you in person. if you need help in next year's Medis, which I hope happen, let us know. We would love to help you. Thank
Awesome.
Any way
Yeah.
we can.
Yeah, and they already said they wanted to play it, so fucking hook them up.
you. Yes, please.
Do it.
Yeah, he's
We'll be security if you want.
he
I don't
knows
care.
he knows a lot of people that after the show hit him up and wanted to play the thing, and he's being receptive to it. You know, last year he had his fucking dukes up trying to deflect all of the bullshit that people were throwing at him, and there was a lot less this year that I saw even online and all this other shit, but. Still, it's
like the old saying
working.
goes, man. Haters gonna hate.
Yep, absolutely, man. Shake him off real good.
Shake it off.
All right, so we've got your first one here, the Common Choir, Negation Delirium is what it is?
Correct.
You guys know what this one's about. I know the vocalist isn't here at the moment. But.
You know, this is one of the first songs we wrote. We typically open our shows with this one. That may change in the future, but it's a good show opener. It's probably one of our heaviest songs. Simple, just ass kicker.
Awesome.
Yeah, love
And
it.
then we've got some Architects after that, right?
Yep, I believe that's what we have in line.
And then let me see here. In Flames after that.
Oh, hell yes.
And then Wage War after that.
Bang your heads.
All right, well, folks, stick around. We've got a lot to get to. Listen up, and we'll be back. Hey, Hey, welcome back, folks. You're listening to Ritual Madness Podcast, episode 172 with Common Choir. I am very happy that you guys are joining us. If you are, thank you very much. Big shout out to Bill Gelberg and Metal Soda and the Medi Awards and all that other stuff. And I appreciate everybody tuning in. I know Tony Lent, who won the Drummer of the Year this year at Medi Awards, was asking me, yes, from Simothwa, was asking me how to tune in. So hopefully he's listening. Tony, thanks for listening if you are. And anybody who is downloading this at the time and listening, thank you very much for taking the time to download it and listen to the podcast. I appreciate it very much. You guys keep those. We'll go through those in a second. Also, I've got a couple shows that I'd like to talk about here real quick before we get into the next segment here. Tomorrow night, which is February 17th at Lee's Liquor Lounge, it is the Grandpa Metal Night at Lee's Liquor Lounge is what we're calling it. It's Mortificator, Krog, Mastiff, Beauty of Decay, and Daigoro. Show starts at 8 p.m. Doors are 18 plus, and it's $7 at the door. Come check it out. It's going to be a great show. Also, March 10th at Lee's Liquor Lounge, we got Mordrot's CD release party. We just did a podcast with Mordrot. Really cool guys. That's Mordrot, Ghost Hook, Invidiosis, and Graveslave. That is March 10th. 18 plus show, $7 at the door. And all the Lee shows, we have $2 Jack and Cokes, $3 Tallboy PBRs, so come check it out. It's going to be a good time. And then let me see here. It is the 24th, I believe, here. I'm looking. Oh, March 10th again. Over at the Eagles 34, the Minneapolis Menagerie. Bongzilla is going to be in town. United Teachers of Music, Wolfblood, Nidosaur, Red Desert, Canthrone, Gravedirt, and Inner Toil. And that is March 10th again at Eagles 34. Doors are at 7 o'clock. $15 in advance, 18 at the door, 21 plus. Go check that show. It's going to be a good time. And my shitty band, Outside the Murder, is playing with Soulfly, Nile, Mastiff, and Prefabricated Lie. Tuesday, May 8th at the Caboose. That's going to be a great show. We do have pre-sale tickets available, $25 in advance. And I did give a couple away at the last Lee's show. So who knows? Maybe I'll do that again tomorrow night. So
What date is that?
that is Tuesday, May 8th.
Dude, the fact that you're playing with Nile is enough that it's a guarantee I'm going to be there. I fucking love Nile,
Yeah,
dude.
they're a good band. They're really cool. I heard they're complete assholes, though.
Carl Sanders, their guitar player, is a cool dude. But I've been listening to those guys for 15 years.
Well, I mean,
They're
they're
awesome.
they're like one of those bands that
They know they're awesome.
The opening bands, they always put all their gear right in front and don't take down their drum set, so they make people play in front of their shit. So you have like this much.
Didn't they just replace their guitar
Station
player
four,
not
too.
too long ago?
Something like that, yeah.
That's what I
not
thought
too
I-
long ago. But
yeah.
they are a badass
They're a
band.
badass
really,
band.
really badass.
I'll never
band.
forget. It was summer 2002. I'm in a girl's basement, and we're watching Headbangers Ball starring Jamie Jasta.
Oh my God,
And all of a sudden,
mi-
Niall's song Sarcophagus comes on, and I'd never heard them before. And I'm like, how? This is incredibly heavy. And then the scales are using is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I will be there.
Yeah, it's a very, very, very cool band. I wanted to get back to you guys since we kind of branched off and talk. I usually try to do that, what we did first, try to do that second. But I wanted to know how you guys got your name, how you guys got started, how the band was formed with the lineup right now. So how did that happen?
Well, actually, me and Chris used to be in a band prior to the one that we were in now, and it was called Iridium Sun. And a good friend of mine, Joey Gonzalez, was the guitar player, and Chris was a guitar player, and I actually played bass in the band. And we tried and tried and tried to find the right collective members for the band, and it just, at the end of the day, it just didn't pan out the way we were trying to go for. And Joey bowed out, and I ended up, instead of just demising the band, I ended up moving to guitar with me and Chris, and we wrote all new stuff. And then shortly thereafter, well, actually,
Actually, it was before
actually-
that. You were still playing bass when we were.
I was still
just
playing
jamming.
bass when
Yeah.
Brandon was practicing with
At
us.
Chris's old house.
At
Yep, I
Chris's
remember
old
that.
house.
Yep.
Yep. And then Zach was maybe at one practice with Joey, because I know Zach and
One.
He was,
Yeah.
and we played some Iridium Sun songs actually.
right.
And I vividly remember Zach saying, "Well, you know, I like it. I'm not really looking to do
That style.
metalcore, which I don't think we're straight metalcore, but whatever. He thought we were metalcore, and
Right.
but he's like, I want like a few days, and I'll let you know what I want to do. And then he came back and he wanted to do it.
He wanted to do it, and and I didn't even know. We didn't even know what was really happening. We all just knew we wanted to do it.
Well, I can tell you what happened. Iridium's Sun fell apart, and I know Dusty and I were sick of that dealing with that shit, and that lit a spark under Dusty's ass.
It did.
And Dusty just fucking
Underneath
I was like,
Pikachu, underneath his Pikachu.
Dusty picked up a guitar and just started
I was
fucking
like,
writing away.
I was like, if no one else is gonna do it, I'm gonna play guitar, and it's the first time I played a guitar in an original band, like, and I just was like, well, I'll do it.
You just took over and you just made happen what you
I
wanted
was
to make
I
happen.
was sick of writing songs as a bass player, and nobody listening to me, so I had to move to guitar to actually get my fucking point
through,
across.
yeah,
Can I say that?
exactly.
I'm sorry, I swore. But
No,
to get my
please
point
swear
across,
as much as you can.
to get my fucking point across, you know, I had to move to guitar so people would listen to what I was doing, and then it just cultivated from there. And here we are. I've been in a band with Chris for 5-6 years now.
Yeah, it's been like almost 5.5 years now. that
Yeah.
we've been playing together. Yep.
Best 5 years of my
Crazy,
life.
long time.
You saw what my daughter did. She got all mad at me one day, and she's like, "I gave you the best day of your life." And I go, "When was that?" "When I was born." And then she walked away, and I just started laughing.
It's true though.
5 years. That's a good stretch, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fucking
it's,
A.
in,
So-
in
so how
Chilton
do-
years, it's like 30 years. You know?
So what? How did you guys come up with the name?
I actually, I was just thinking that because he went through all that. I remember we went from practicing at Chris's old house to playing at his wife's parents' house, but
Holy
like in a
smokes,
shed.
What a cool ass fucking in-laws, man.
Yeah,
Well,
they were really cool.
It was like their
It's a
spare
garage.
house.
It was a garage, yeah.
were like-
yeah.
We were truly a garage band for a while, so we didn't start out anything fancy. We worked ourselves up from fucking dirt.
It literally smelled like grass clippings. In the
Yeah,
front.
I always said it
plants
smelled like
hanging in it.
vegetables. I was like, dude, like, yeah, but no, like we were
They were
jamming.
growing weed in the background. You didn't even know it.
Maybe.
I would have sniffed that out, dude.
I wouldn't be surprised with Chris's.
She's a little crazy. Anyways,
Oh yeah, if I could just go from practicing there. Zach came to practice one day. He was like, "All right, guys, we got 2 band names to choose from.
oh yeah,
It's
nice.
either maiden names or common choir."
I wanted maiden names really bad because I
Yeah,
thought it'd be cool.
MN,
MN,
you know,
maiden
like-
names. You know, the whole
Yeah.
Minnesota,
Yeah.
and then
We
you know,
thought about it.
we
you
thought
know, for a
about
bit,
it,
and
mulled it
then,
over. At
Like
the
a
end, I
week
was-
or 2 weeks later, that's when we all kind of talked and said Common Choir was a cool name. And I actually just learned like a few weeks ago. I was talking to Zach. I was like, "What is the meaning of
Yeah.
of Common Choir?"
Yeah.
And we all kind of looked at each other. Well, common group of dudes in
Making
a band,
music.
Yeah.
choir, I guess,
Yeah.
with instruments and
At-
singing or
Yeah.
screaming or and that's I guess it's a pretty
even
cool.
even
idea.
though I didn't get my name, or even though I didn't get my way with the name of the band, I was to the point where I was like, I don't care if our band name is Turd Sandwich. I will make it the coolest band ever.
Coolest
You know,
shirt
like
sandwich ever.
right. I at that point I didn't care. I just wanted to release some music. You know, the
Right.
name is not relevant. I was just like, the music speaks for itself. You know,
Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
Yeah.
Corn.
Limp Bizkit.
Right. Perfect example there, buddy.
I actually remember when I heard that song "Rolling"
Yeah.
from Limp Bizkit.
Yeah.
I was watching with my dad. I was watching WWF, I think, at the time, or it was WWE. It transferred over. I see Undertaker on his bike rolling out down the I guess the ramp, and
Yeah.
you hear "Keep rolling, rolling."
Yeah.
And I was such a huge wrestling head back then
Yeah.
that hearing a band that I liked mixing with
Wrestling, yeah.
a good show that
Yeah.
I love, it was exciting
Yeah.
to say the least. And honestly, in my opinion, with like metal, rock, all that stuff nowadays, like if you listen to bands from back then, from like the early '90s, late '90s to early 2000s,
Yeah.
it's like those guys did, they made a mark as far as like the metal goes. Like Slipknot, like there are a lot of bands like the drummer of that band, Joey Jordison.
Yeah.
I looked up to him so much growing up as a kid up until now. And then
too.
yeah,
I'm from
you know,
Iowa.
I grew up
and
with
that
them
kind
dudes.
of yeah. Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, listening to them. And
No,
all
we
that?
played. We used to play with those guys in their bands before Slipknot, Monofidius, Body Pit. We used to go down to Des Moines and play all the time with my death metal
Dude,
band.
that's
like,
so sick.
it
That
was
is
crazy.
nuts.
Here's a funny story. So when they went multi-platinum with the first Slipknot album, right? So they are on tour. They come here for like Ozfest or something, right? Joey Jordison gets off the bus and sees me, and he says, "Greg fucking Chilton, how you doing, dude?" And here's the funny thing is, we played with some bands down there, and there was one guitar player, and I can't remember which band it was from. I want to say it was Monofidius. It was one of those bands. It was either that or Paul Gray's band, Body Pit, right? So,
Fuck yeah.
so they used to take the phone book and open the phone book, and they'd point at a phone number, just a random number, and then play it on their fretboard, right? So my guitar player took it as when we came back, and he goes, I'm going to take all of our home phone numbers, right? So we used a riff that was 481-1573. That was my mom's home phone number for 30 fucking years. You know what I'm saying? So it went dun 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 dun, right? So he gets off the bus and he says, Greg fucking Chilton, and he goes dun 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 dun. And I look at him and I go, dude, do you know what that is? And he's like, no. And I go, that was my mom's home telephone number. And he goes, you guys did that too? It was fucking crazy, dude. It was crazy.
No way.
Yeah.
That's so insane,
It was
dude.
because I hung out with Paul Gray that whole time because he moved up here to
God
play
bless. That dude
with
was
Anal
awesome.
Blast. He played with
Yeah,
Anal
yeah.
Blast up
Yep,
here.
Anal
and,
Blast.
And we hung out all the time. And it was like, the dude was fucking rock solid cool. When they went multi-platinum, we hung out and we talked shit. And when I released my album from Necromus, Burn Scar, in 2004, like I sent him copies. I tried to get him to just listen to it. And he went through all this whole thing of where being in a band, if you have friends in different states and they're in bands, they try to force that shit down your throat. And I was like, I don't want anything from you. I just want your honest opinion and how it sounds and what we can do to try to kind of change the thing. When they got signed, my band Sublevel was actually on the verge of being signed as well. We had fucking their management company. We sent shit to Ross Robinson. Their manager Danny Nizell was from here. He tried to help us get signed. There was Fred Durst was working for Interscope at the time. He went around to all the radio stations in the United States and like asked them, what are the largest local bands, who draws the most, who is getting the biggest buzz in your town. We want to have a showcase. So we played multiple showcases to try to get signed, and we were this fucking close. American Head Charge got signed and they were off and running, so we were very close. And so we had multiple people. Mikey Doling from Snot, who also played in Soulfly, was like single-handedly one of the guys that had we opened for them, or we played after them in the Ascot room at the Quest. And Mikey Doling came up to my girlfriend, was like, how do I get a hold of these fucking guys? Took my CD, I contacted him. He went to Happy Walters, who signed Korn at the time from Hollywood Records, and gave him our shit. There were people calling us from all over the place. Monty Connor from Roadrunner Records contacted me personally and said, we're really interested in what you guys are doing. We just want to hear more stuff from you guys. So whatever you have, send it to me. We'll try to get something worked out. I sent him a bunch of stuff. He's like, they just went multi-platinum with Slipknot. And the Wait and Bleed thing was their heavy, like it was their fucking mold. They wanted to have
that. I love that song.
That's right. They wanted to have bands sing and have heavy. And he was like, we like what you're doing. We want you to sing more. Can you sing more? And I was like, I stepped back and was like, you know what? Fuck you. I'm not doing that. Like Hatebreed's doing great and they don't fucking sing. There's multiple heavy bands out there doing well. And I'm like, this is Monty Connor. This is a guy who was the head of A&R at Roadrunner since like the 80s, dude. This is the guy who made you or broke you. You know what I'm saying? And I just was like, I'm not into it. I'm not going to be that guy. I'm not going to do it.
enough.
And I honestly feel like I shot myself in the dick because I would have been able to do something, but at the same time,
If you weren't comfortable, man.
I wasn't comfortable, and I was.
We
really,
recommend
I was
piercing your dick.
Really strung
PYD.
out at the time, and I'm glad that I didn't get signed because I feel like I would have been a statistic in that whole thing of just being fucked up on dope all the time. Funny story with the guy from Drowning Pool is I met him 2 weeks before he died in Eau
Is that
Claire,
Dave Williams
Wisconsin.
you're talking about?
And he was trying to buy dope off of me, and dude, he fucking was wasted, stumbled out into the into the street. I mean, the whole it's a college town. It's fucking, the bars are just hopping, right?
That's
So we go to see the show, we hang out with everybody, blah 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 blah. They follow us over. He found out I had dope in my pocket. We started talking about selling him some dope, whatever. And the dude was like, yeah, I'm not paying that. Walks out in the middle of the street, almost gets hit by a car and dies 2 weeks later. The dude was a fucking mess. And that's how I felt like if I would have followed what Monty Connor wanted me to do. And again, I feel like I shot.
Guy.
I felt like, well, I mean, you look at Paul Gray and rest his soul and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But the guy went down a hole because he had all. I mean, they went multi-platinum on that first album. The first band on Roadrunner Records to go multi-platinum. The first band, and
News
they've been
to
around
me.
forever.
I didn't even know
They were-
that.
they were
that's
gods.
crazy.
Yeah, they were huge. And,
They still are, but yeah, they were
I
definitely
know every
more
song
so in my
on the
opinion.
Sinner.
back then.
The
I know
funny,
every song
the
on
funny
the
thing
Sinner
is
fucking
that when Paul sat down with me when they came back, so they had to stop release on that first album because of that Purity Night song, the fucking Purity song.
Yep.
So they
yeah,
they
Purity.
stopped production on that at 1 million copies, right? They re-released it with shit that wasn't on the first album, right? And all that shit. So they re-released it, sold another 1 million, won the court case, and then re-released that first one again. So you can imagine how much money they didn't make.
Amen.
They didn't make any money off that first album. Zero, dude. They made dick off
wait.
of that first album. Here's what they made their money off of. They went and they made a merchandise deal with a big merch company that gave them the lion's share of their merch. I went to, when they started getting really big, before they went multi-platinum, they were in Suns. If you guys ever remember, Suns was like a rock and roll store in Minneapolis on Hennepin.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that. Yep.
So they were selling $100 jumpsuits of Slipknot jumpsuits, right? $100.
Dude, as a kid, I always
Their
wanted one of those.
Their lunch boxes were, $80. They were making, that's how they bought their houses. Like he told me, he goes, all of us have brand new houses that we bought because of our merch deal. He said that they held out. Like Roadrunner said, you guys get back in the studio. We want to cut more records. They said, fuck you. We're not coming back in. We're touring. So they toured for like 2 years straight off that first album. And they said, fuck you. We're not going to do it until we renegotiate our contract. So they came back on Iowa and had way more of the fucking share of what they were recording and what
My
they were
favorite-
Sick
my favorite album.
dude,
Yeah.
for sure.
And that was their heaviest
Everything
album.
Ends, my favorite
So,
song ever.
Dude, definitely.
So I
It was
mean,
heavy.
that's kind of, we kind of got off subject again. That's the ADD in me.
Dude,
so
dude,
that's great.
But it's
We roll with it.
It's one of those things where you see that all go down and transpire and all of that shit throughout the years, and you see all that, and the use of the party favors and getting too much into your own deal.
Greg, I gotta say, I love. I'm having a good time doing this podcast. I love hearing all this, information, and it's very interesting to me, and it's kind of touches a soft spot in my heart because, back in the early 2000s is kind of like my nostalgic period
Yeah,
where
yeah.
there's a lot of good shit going on.
Me
back then.
too, dude.
Dude,
I
for sure.
fucking love Slipknot. I love
You were
all-
maggots, dude.
Dude, I wasn't maggot.
I'm a
still-
maggot
I'm still
for
a
life.
maggot, dude. You know what?
I'm a maggot
Yeah, I'm still a maggot, dude. I'll tell anybody. That's my boss. That
till death.
I would hope that after this podcast, Greg, you and me can at some point sit down over a beer or whatever it is, and I can listen to you and hear you talk more about back in the day because you have way better stories than I do. But every story you have touches at least something that I remember a little bit of.
Well, you know,
So-
I mean, you saying that now, and what I try to push forward in, when I'm on stage or able to talk to groups of people when it comes to the Minnesota music scene is we need to get back to that point.
Exactly.
Is because everybody back then was willing to play with everybody else. It didn't matter if you were heavy as heavy could get or if you were kind of on the poppier side.
Exactly.
And there was time to flip flop shows all the time, and there wasn't a lot of egos involved. And there are egos. There's always going to be egos when it comes to bands, and there's nothing wrong. It's like having a fucking McDonald's on one corner and a Burger King on the other corner. McDonald's is going to stomp the fuck out of them every single time.
Oh,
but you
of course.
Throw,
but they don't got the charbroil.
but
They're
you-
nuggets,
but
bro. So good.
You throw in a Taco Bell or you throw in a Chipotle down the block. Now you have all this competition, and they're like, well, yeah, McDonald's uses all this artificial blah, 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 blah. Well, we can go over here and have, Chipotle, which is better Mexican food than Taco Bell on some, or Taco John's. Either way, what I'm saying is that we can all survive together and actually flourish much better if we can all put our egos in our back pocket and say, hey, I'm willing to play a show with you. Maybe you're a little lighter musically and stylistically wise, you're a little lighter than I am, but I can maybe grab a few of your fans and you can do vice versa.
I actually really like cultural diffusion.
Yeah.
Like, I think the best nobody wants to see the same band play 4 times in a night. I'm not saying they're the same band or anything,
No, I get what you're saying though.
but they want to see,
Diversity, yeah.
diversity that really makes you look, like if you see, like, it's hard to explain, but like when there's the diffusion of different genres, like in the same show, I'm all about that. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
if you book a
absolutely.
show where we're on it and then there's an alternative band, a hip hop band or whatever is going on, as long as it's not, don't get me wrong, I like playing in the same genre too, but I really always like playing outside of our genre shows.
Yeah, because it's like our
'Cause we might
band
be
and
the
their
odd man
band.
out.
Yeah, exactly. Our band and their band might see two different worlds.
Right.
Like, holy crap! Wait, that riff he just did there, we wouldn't usually do. But imagine if we did something like that.
Well, I think what
if you think about it,
Yeah.
incorporating styles from different bands, whether they're the same genre or not. And just to briefly say this, we played a show at the Afterlife.
Yes.
And we played with
In Algona, Iowa,
in Algona,
Lifers.
Iowa. Yep. And
Lifers, not Afterlife.
Lifers, yeah. And the bands that we played with, there was a couple that were kind of our style, and then there was this one, Calling Grace. Totally not what we do, like the heavy breakdowns, cool choruses, whatever. But they were fun to watch, exciting, and
We like
we
us and we like
exchanged
them.
words. Yeah, they were cool, man. And they thought we were good. We thought they were good, and it was a good time.
See,
man.
that's what it's all about, man. Spreading the love between different genres and different styles, and that's, I appreciate you saying that, but I've always had that mindset of I want people to get along. You know what I mean? I want everybody to like put all the bullshit aside, because if we're all in the pit and somebody falls down, you're gonna pick
You're
them
gonna pick
up.
'em
You know
up.
what I'm saying?
Always.
And it doesn't matter what color your skin is, what your religion is, all the bullshit, all
Nope.
the politics.
What
and
genre you're
what
there to hear.
Yeah, man, you're there to see a good show and a release. These guys, the people in the crowd aren't doing what we do on stage. They're not able to, strum something or fucking bang it out.
They're living vicariously
Yeah,
through
they gotta
the
go
bands they
with
go
you,
to see.
like, yeah,
They're
totally.
having drinks and they're having a good time and they're throwing down just like we are. But it's like they're there to enjoy themselves, and we want to give that to them. And any kind of animosity between the bands, it makes for a shitty fucking vibe. And I want everybody, and it's just not possible. I'm not saying it's not possible. What I'm saying is that it's so difficult to get people to just put their egos in their back fucking pocket and put their good foot forward to actually fucking go for the betterment of your music scene. It doesn't have to be clicky. It doesn't have to be this. It can be death metal, deathcore. It can be fucking, whatever you want to put in there. I think that it is important that people understand that if you can get drawing bands, regardless of what fucking genre they're in, to do a show together at a good venue, put on a good show, have good sound, good lights, it's going to do good for everybody that's involved.
Right, exactly.
Man,
Exactly. We're playing a show next month, and we're by far the heaviest band. We're playing with Throw the Fight and 3 Pill Morning and Smiling Politely. We're by far the heaviest band, but we're happy about that. New exposure for us, some new exposure for the bands that are going to be there. And I think, Greg, what you're saying is completely correct. Doesn't matter if you're sub-level, doesn't matter if you're head charge. You can be fucking Smiling Liar. You can be Skywine.
Right.
You know what? You
Right.
can all coexist
Right.
in the same universe and benefit everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
that right?
I mean, you think about it, and that bill that you just explained, James was from Two Ton Crutch back in the day. He's the singer for Throw the Fight. And that is an old school cat right there. That's a guy who played in that same era as I did, where we all jammed with each other and it didn't fucking matter. And they were kind of like a new metal heavy shit, and we loved playing with those guys because we would be able to snatch up some of their crowd, and people would come from their crowd. We loved jamming with them guys because they were great dudes. They were honestly really cool cats, and it didn't matter whether they were exactly as heavy as us or not as heavy as us.
Right.
I think you guys will stick out like a sore fucking thumb, and you guys will be the ones that people go, holy fuck, these guys are heavy as shit.
A thumbs
They're
up,
throwing
hopefully.
down. Yeah, absolutely, man. I don't see
Is
why
that
not.
coming from you to us,
I-
or just in general?
I think that you guys are going to do very well in that
Dude,
show. I
man,
honestly do,
thank you so
because I
much.
think that being selected to be on that show for one is very, very cool. With that lineup and you guys being the heavy hitters out of the bunch. I mean, yes, those bands are all established, and you guys are.
Those are the words I wanted to hear, heavy
moving-
hitters out of the
moving up that ladder real fast. You know what I'm saying? And being able to jump on that, and whoever selected you guys or asked you guys to be on that thing, they know. They fucking know what they're getting. They've either heard it or they've heard a buzz of what you guys are doing, and that speaks volumes for getting yourself on the show. If you're playing first or you're playing fucking in the middle, you guys got a good slot.
Right.
If you're
It don't
second or
matter.
third,
Totally.
you guys are going to throw down. Here's the thing that I always loved back in the day, and to this day, if I see a band that isn't my style or is heavier than what I do, and it happens all the time because Outside the Murder is kind of like right in the middle. It's like a kind of a southerny rock, kind of metally. I mean, it's weird. It's like downish, COC kind of weird.
I think down
heavy shit.
is a great analogy.
Yeah,
too.
it's very similar to that. But we've played with death metal bands, we played with black metal bands, we played with all these fucking bands. What I try to do every time that I play a show is when I see a band bring it on stage before me or after me, it always makes me want to lift it to that next level. You know what I'm saying? It makes me want to fucking come out of that cage. You know what I mean? Come out of that.
It's a friendly, a friendly competitive environment
Yeah,
where
and that is the perfect example, man. A friendly, competitive environment. If you're playing a fucking game with a friend of yours and you're not being competitive about that exact thing, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna kick your ass in this game, and they're like, "Fuck you are! I win this shit all the time."
That's
and
right.
And you're
Teabagged you.
Yeah, you know, you're balling it out. You know what I mean?
I have a comment basing off of what you two said. The band that I actually wrote down for our influences, more so a recent band, was like a band I discovered in 2017 called Issues, and the same thing happened in an interview I saw with them. Is they had a DJ player, his name was Scout. And in that video, he was like, look, I just want to be the best that we can be. He was like, I want to be the best. He was like, I know that sounds cocky. He was like, but for our style and for what we're doing, he was like, I just want to be the best that we can be out of all those people trying to do what we're doing.
Right.
It's not about being, better than you suck. It's about being the best at our genre.
Right.
And that's how I look
Or
at it too.
representing your genre as well. You know what I mean? Like,
represent. Of course.
You want to. It's like being friends with me, and if I say that I'm a friend with you, and I bring you somewhere, and you start acting a fucking fool, I'm gonna pull you aside and go, dude, listen,
What's that, bro?
These motherfuckers right here are I vouch for you, and you're here with me.
There's
so
a
they're
little,
gonna
there's a
look
little
at me.
accountability.
Right. The thing for me is like if I'm gonna step forward for my band's name or for what I'm gonna do, I'm not gonna go to another person's show and shit up. Man, this is a fucking horrible band. Talk shit in the background. If I don't like it, I'm gonna keep that shit to myself. They're up there doing it. That's the fucking thing. That is the thing. If you don't like it, that's fucking fine and dandy. Whatever. Here's the fucking fact of the matter. Your ass isn't up there doing what you're supposed to do. And if you are, you better put your best foot forward to make people. I mean, dude, you want to get some sort of notoriety, right? My whole thing, like we were talking about, playing. We're not. If you join a metal band for money, you're fucking retarded. First of all, and I don't mean any disrespect to mentally handicapped folks, but what I'm saying is that
it's better than joining an artist to be like, hey, get the flick it, the big it, the big it, the flick it, the big it.
It's and it's
not to bash on rap because rap is cool, but mumble, I don't know.
No, it's not.
I don't know.
Well,
old school is.
Here's the thing, man.
Old
is
school
that
rap.
Haters gonna hate.
you want to put your best foot forward. You want to be the best representation for your band, and getting put on a show that has a diverse lineup, and you're able to go in there and snatch some of their, because there's probably people that are going to be there that maybe want to see some old stuff that James used to sing, or some older stuff that 3 Pill Morning did, or either. You guys get what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you want to put your best foot forward and be a best representation of your band, of your genre, of what you can. And again, that friendly competitiveness, is you got to think, man, I want to fucking do the best I can possibly do.
Totally.
You want to be able to say, dude, we sold 300 shirts last night. Do you realize that? We didn't get paid shit for the show, but we made money off of the fucking merch.
We got to do that.
That's what
We
I'm
just
saying.
got merch,
really cool.
so if
That-
anybody's looking for Common Choir merch, please inquire.
That's what I'm
Come
talking
quiet.
about, man. It is, it's a very important thing. If you don't put on a great show, there's, nobody's going to want to buy your shit. Nobody's going to want to check it out. But say you play horrible one show and you go back to the drawing board or back to the studio and you go, okay, you watch it. Somebody videotapes it. Oh, we fucked up here. We fucked up. And you guys all know you fucked up. But people who are watching, they have no fucking clue what's going on.
They're none the wiser.
That's the
You say
beautiful
that.
thing.
That's funny. Zach will mention that to us too. Like, me, Dusty, myself, and just to respect everything you're saying, I totally understand. To base off of that, we'll all be playing a show or whatever, and then Zach will be like, oh yeah, maybe that could have been done differently, and then it's like, yeah, true, but we'll notice it and be like, okay, yeah, that was something we totally shouldn't have screwed up on. So he'll be like, you know what though, people in the crowd, they don't know it.
Yeah.
They don't see that, they don't
Yeah.
hear it. you know, we do. It's like, and it's not about being the best.
We're,
or perfect.
we're our
Once again,
worst
like,
enemy when it
yeah,
comes to critics.
yeah.
You know, we're
Yeah,
very,
critical.
we're very hard on ourselves all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I
yeah,
agree.
and it's all about realistically just like, you know, having a good fan base is a big deal. Obviously, having
Yeah.
people follow you and all
Yeah.
that, whether it's social media or not. And you know, they say it's not always what you know, it's who you know,
Right.
having a good connection. And yeah, that's my goal is to get signed, man. I just want to live the metal dream, bro.
Right,
Just play
right.
shows. It ain't about any of the drugs, the money. Yeah, okay, money's great. It's not about any of that. At
I
this
mean, even
point.
even
The
that,
adrenaline rush,
even what
know?
you even what
I
you
just
said
wanna
though,
live in a van.
it really
too.
does. It's changed. It's changed through the years so much on having that thought of being signed, because you can sign with a little indie label that will push your shit, and that's what it is. That's what it's all about. It doesn't matter what size label you get signed to. It's whether or not they believe in you
Yeah,
as
do they
much as
care
you
enough?
believe. Yeah,
Right,
Like,
because
I've said this-
yeah.
because they may not have the capital to put you in a van and get you rolling down the road, but they do have the capital and the connections. And it's basically what you're signing a contract for, is that they have the marketing ability. They have, you know, they're going to run ads for your shit. They're going to believe in you. They're going to do what they want to do. So really, honestly, that has changed so much through the years of getting signed. Now there's so many good indie labels out there that will hit distro and hit these national markets that it just fucking blows me away. They might not have, like I said, the capital to put you in a fucking van or furnish your hotels every single night, but your name will be out there, and people will hear you. And again, when you go to these small towns where you feel like you don't really know, you keep making that circuit. And that's what I keep telling people that are in newer bands that are really haven't toured a lot, is the thing is, you got to find these cities where these markets where you do well. Like say you go to Madison, you go to Eau Claire, you go, you know, you hit there, you go down to Des Moines, you come back up, you go over to Omaha, you do this little circuit. Every time you do that circuit, and you're doing it, you know, you go one run, you come back and you're on the same album, you do another run, you're on the same album, you release another one, and you keep doing that. Every time you do it, it's going to exponentially grow and grow and grow if you're doing what you're doing right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
I actually, I've seen it happen firsthand. I am a sound guy for Lifers in Algona, Iowa. I've seen it happen, and the same faces, they will show up, and it's awesome to see the support. You know, they come for the bands, and it's great. You know, they make their rounds through town, and you know, the first time a band plays at the venue, you know, there's maybe, you know, X amount of people there, but the next time they come through, there's more than before.
Right.
You know, and it's awesome to see. Like, I love it. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. I also like I've been thinking about it lately because, you know, obviously we're still just a local band. We're nothing huge right now, but you know, I'm thinking like with our sound and who we are in Minnesota, there's a lot of big ass metal bands that come through, man. Like bands that I love, bands that these guys love, bands you love, you know? And I'm thinking it's only a matter of time. This is just my hope is shit, we might get offered to play a show with that band.
Sure.
And that's more exposure because the people that are there for that band that thrive those guys playing on stage, they're gonna be like, all right, so this local band, all right, we'll see. Like, you know how people talk behind the scenes, they'll say like, oh well, these guys might not be anything, right?
Right.
And then they play and it's like, wow.
It only takes, dude. It
wasn't
honestly
expecting that.
only
It just
takes.
takes-
It only takes one good show. That's
One
it.
yes.
That's all it
Yeah,
takes.
like one
man, is
good
one
show. And I got to take my hats off to you more so because I've never met someone in this life that says they've played a show at Slipknot. Oh, you're saying? My mind's been stuck on that. 'Cause, like, our vocalist, Zach, he played a show at the Day to Remember. They're my favorite band. And I was like, whoa, that's,
Dude,
wow.
I got
Like,
a
Slipknot,
giant
dude.
list. I've got a giant.
Greg,
fucking
did you
list
say
of-
you played with Slipknot before?
I did not. I
played with members of Slipknot, to clarify.
Still, yeah,
before.
okay.
But at least you
fair
had
enough.
you had an exposure to
one
them
of-
as
that's still neat.
people.
One
Yeah,
of the
dude, that's
last,
still
one of the,
neat. Thank you,
the
Chris.
last shows that
Appreciate
we
that.
played in 2004 before we went on tour with the album that we released. We showed up in Des Moines and played Harry Mary's, and there was Paul Gray in the crowd. Joey was there. Mick was there. There was a handful of fucking Slipknot guys in the crowd with us. So it was kind of a trip to see these guys that we grew up with, you know, and playing down there with. And it was like, handing them CDs and then walking away going, do you think they're going to listen to it? Are they going to throw it away? Or,
Dude.
what are they going to do? And they're like, well, I mean, Paul, and, he's going to listen to it for sure. Well, all right, and, that kind of deal. It's weird. It's weird. You never know how it's going to be
That's
received.
awesome,
Dude, I had a moment kind of like what you're talking about. My favorite band of all time is Norma Jean.
Yeah.
And they have forever been my favorite band. And we nailed down this gig at Amsterdam last year with He Is Legend. And I just happened to see that the guy that was following He Is Legend around doing photos for them was the drummer for Norma Jean.
Oh, wow.
And it just,
That
I was
would've been fucking
I was
cool
more
shit.
nervous about the photographer of He Is Legend than I actually was opening
Being
up
on
for He Is
stage?
Legend. Yeah, and I actually got to meet Goose from Norma Jean as a photographer, and he was in attendance of my band show, and it blew my mind.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, we also had the privilege opening up for the band 68, and the singer of 68, Josh Scogan, is the original vocalist for Norma Jean also.
Yeah.
So it's just so surreal. See, it's
Dude,
just my music career, and I get to actually meet the people that I idolize.
We released an EP, dude, before it was like probably 2002 or 3, right? So we played this show at
Golden years.
First Avenue, right? So Joey Belladonna's side project band, he's the singer for Anthrax, right?
Yes.
So his side project where he's playing drums and singing is, Joey Belladonna's backstage, and then it was MOD, so it's fucking Billy Milano and the guitar player from Heathen, like all these old thrash bands, right, are all together, and we're backstage, and I'm putting inlays in my fucking CDs, and Joey Belladonna sits down, grabs a stack of CDs, and he starts putting inlays in my CDs with me, and I look over, and this is a dude that Among the Living was one of my favorite fucking albums as a kid, Anthrax, Among the Living, so it was like, I'm sitting next to a fucking legend,
You were.
like
That's why we do what we do.
and dude, I play the show
Because
and
things like
and he
that happen.
He goes, "Hey man, we should really do some shows together. Like, you should come out and do some shows with me." And I'm like, "Fucking, here's my number. Why? What do you got to do, man? You don't pay me. I'm just gonna come with you. You know what I mean?" It was so crazy to have,
Him helping you out.
Joey Belladonna and Billy Milano sitting there in the
Anthrax?
same room. Yeah,
Dude.
sitting right next to
Are
me.
you going to the Kill Track show?
I might. Yeah.
Oh, dude, it's so.
gonna
I
be
have
nuts.
tickets. My buddy bought tickets. He bought the high-end pass tickets.
Nice.
They were like 140 fucking bucks. So
Yeah, I got to see him last
Kill
year
Switch.
at
Skyway?
Rockfest. It was amazing.
Oh,
Hey, before I forget, speaking of the whole Slipknot thing, before this,
Fingers
do
into
you remember? Do you remember
we're
a
going back to
band?
Slipknot real quick.
Do you remember a band named Down the Sun?
Yes.
Fuck yeah, or fuck no?
Honestly, I remember the name. I'm not really
Fuck
sure
Medium,
if I remember.
dude.
Yeah,
Never
fuck
mind, never mind.
medium.
Fuck mediocre.
Yeah. All right, well, let's take a listen to some tunes. We got Under Oath. This is one of your guys' tunes, right?
Yeah, for Miles, who's not here. Yes.
Oh yeah, I love this song too.
And
Thank
then-
you,
It's a
Miles.
sweet song.
And then
Have fun at the show.
Issues, yes.
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 And then some Norma Jean.
Yes, please.
And then we got here, another one of yours is right. Let's see here, number 7. Which one is that? It is Roman Hands, right?
Roman hands, Russian fingers.
Lower fingers.
And then
Lower
we've got,
fingers.
let me see here, we've got LRH.
Lower Roads Home.
Lower Road. So we're going to do those
Coastal
back to back, all right?
Russians.
Are you guys cool with that?
Our 2 newest ones that just came out.
Awesome. Good deal. Well, let's take a listen. Folks, stick around. We will be back. Yo, what's happening, folks? Welcome
Jar
back.
Jelly.
You're listening to Ritual Madness Podcast. Do me a favor, check out ritualmadnesspodcast.com. On the right side, you can connect with us on iTunes, Stitcher, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the new YouTube channel. And I've been uploading a bunch of different videos from on the YouTube channel. I actually just did an intro video that is well overdue, and I think it turned out pretty good. Hopefully, you guys will check it out. I also did a video on site navigation too, so you can go check out the ritualmadnesspodcast.com site. I do have the episode tabs up there. Some of the bands, actually all of the bands that that I've done podcasts with, I linked to their Facebook pages. You can see all those, the artists and the photographers that have been on here. Everybody who's done a podcast on here, I've put a link on there, and you can check that out. I also did a new music calendar for the local scene here. Before we did 5 states, so now we're just doing Minnesota right now. I'm just kind of rebuilding this back up and everything. And I also put a photo gallery up there. So any bands listening that have been on the podcast and you have any kind of photos of you being in the studio, please send them to me on Facebook or Ritual Madness Podcast at Gmail. If you're in a band or have friends that are in bands and you want to send me your stuff, send it to Ritual Madness Podcast at Gmail.
Do it.
Also, download the Listen to My Radio app on your space phone. That's LISTEN, the number 2, My Radio. Search Ritual Madness Podcast, bookmark it. You can listen to the station or the live casts on Fridays directly from your phone and still be able to navigate through your phone and whatnot. Or you can just go ritualmadnesspodcast.listentomyradio.com and listen to it on your radio or your phone. Also, it'd be very cool for you guys to check it out. Amazon link, please bookmark that Amazon link from the page, and every time you buy something helps us keep this thing going, and donations are much appreciated. I know I always make jokes about me spending money on drugs and all that other bullshit. I am not on drugs right now, and I just want you to know that the money will go to keeping this thing going, and you know, the website is not free, the internet's not free, all the stuff is not free to keep the lights on in this place, and I really appreciate everybody's support, and hopefully you are willing to be generous and donate. And I'm also going to be dropping a Patreon page here pretty soon, and hopefully we can get some extra special content. I've got a bunch of guitar picks that I want to give away as well. The guys over at Capital Guitars were kind enough to do like a combo pick thing where they put Capital Guitars on one side and Ritual Madness on the other, and they made like 800 of them and gave them to me for free. So it was super cool of them to do that.
Can I just say that Capital Guitars is fucking awesome?
Yeah, they're such cool guys, man. They're so cool.
I've known those guys for years, and this isn't any sort of like bias or anything like that, but they have a great selection. They're getting more stuff every year. They're constantly branching out with what they have in their space. They're price competitive, and they're just cool dudes who know what they're doing. So I highly recommend those guys.
Absolutely. Very cool guys. And this one is for Matt Rutherford. By the way, the screen.
Honorable mention, Matt Rutherford.
Yep. Rotten.
Infamous
rotten,
memories.
Back at you, Matt.
rotten fat bastard.
Day zero sucks.
Naked Matt. That's what he goes by.
I know you're listening at Home Depot right now,
the
motherfucker.
Meddy's Naked Matt running through. By the way, you're lucky you didn't get arrested, and I'm going to take credit for that because I talked to that cop for like 5 minutes telling him, please find it in your heart not to fucking arrest this guy. We put him up to it. We didn't think he was going to do it. We all knew that Matt was going to get naked and run through the fucking crowd.
I mean,
and
he is a man of his word.
Dude, that fucking cop looked at me and he was like all stern and like talking to the manager, and I was like, hey, if you could find it in your heart not to arrest the guy, like we didn't think he was going to do it, and you just see his face go. Like,
That cop probably was at the Slayer show.
You can't see his facial expression, but he's definitely
he went totally fucking like cool, you know. And he said when he was outside in the cop car, the one cop was just an asshole.
Really wanted to take him to jail.
You're going to jail tonight. You're going to jail tonight. And then the younger guy that I talked to went over there and he goes, we're gonna check the area, because he told me, he goes, if there's any cops because of the winter carnival shit going on, he's like, if there's any kids in the area, he's going to jail, you know. So then he was like, all right. And it was funny because the cop left, and then there was a lady who walked in with a kid in her hand.
You stated that he said if there's any kids in the area, it's like, bro, Matt, first of all, those kids made the decision to go or sneak in or whatever.
Well, Matt's got a baby dick, so that kind of counts.
Hey, I actually heard that Rev John gave it a tug or two via just pointing that out.
Did you guys see that picture of him running across?
I did.
He was just a blur, man. I was like, the fucking flash came.
I wish it was a little more clear, just to make sure.
Dusty, what was the story about a little while, some sort of outdoor festival here where he was walking around naked the whole time?
Oh yeah, actually,
up at Wasco's.
I attended my first Wasco's last year in 2017. And I really got to
happens all the time.
I got to know Rutherford on a whole new level, and he was trying to start this whole thing where, he
We're
got
going stripping through the quad, dude.
Yeah, he was basically that guy, but he was cool. Like
Frank the Tank.
For as strange as it was, being around a naked dude around a campfire, he shared all of his absinthe, and it was great. And I will forever
so funny,
I am forever grateful for
was
that guy
natural,
because
He's awesome.
he literally, like his hand says, don't give a fuck,
Yeah,
man.
he
Like I
don't give
love
a
that
fuck.
dude.
Yeah, he's good shit, man. So I wanted to kind of go back to you guys. So when you were kids, and I usually do this in the beginning of the podcast because I want people to know, what were you guys listening to as kids? What were your folks listening to? What was your first experiences with music? We'll start with
I
you,
will
Chris.
say, let those guys go first. Chris, you the man.
Are we referencing this?
No, I'm saying as far as like
kids.
what was going on as a kid in your household. What were your folks listening to?
What did your parents
were your
make you listen to in the
siblings?
car on the way
Go
to
ahead.
Sunday school?
Go ahead, you're good. Go ahead, you're good.
Should hear these guys.
Yeah, no, you're good. You can listen to it when I release it.
He's got a shit.
Yeah, he's got shit right now.
He always does.
All right.
You know, I'm the oldest one in the band, so my
Old
memories
man
of
overlord.
my memories of music go back into probably the late '80s. You know, my dad was listened to a lot of Rolling Stones, Grateful Dead. My mom listened to a lot of like Bruce Hornsby and Jackson Browne. So I don't know, that was pretty mainstream back then. They liked Michael Jackson a lot. So probably nothing too out of the ordinary.
So from that point, what was your first experience with metal itself? Like what was the first thing that you heard where you were like, damn, this is heavy. I've got to go that way. I've got to
So
listen more.
it's such a hard question.
I remember in 1993 or 4, I bought Green Day's Dookie album, which to this day is my favorite album by them, and they had some heavier guitar tones on that, which kind of started converting me to the metal side a little bit. And I was always obsessed with heavy guitar tones. I still am, Dusty, aren't I?
I would believe so. I learned my tones from you, so
And then my
I learned it from watching you.
I learned it from you, bro.
my dear cousin James came up to visit me in the cities. He's from southern Minnesota. He brought with Korn albums. He brought and put on Life is Peachy by Korn, and that sealed the deal. I was like, this is incredibly strange. My parents would probably be like, what the fuck? But I fucking love it. And that was 1996 or 7. And that was really my first introduction to metal and really loving metal.
Okay, from that point, then you started to go a little bit heavier. And what were some of the bands you were listening to when it started getting heavy?
Yeah, 1999 or 2000, I was in the Commons, which is called the lunchroom. It's a lunchroom in high school. I was a sophomore, and let's see how old I am. And
That's what we called them, though, too, the Commons. Always meet in the Commons after school.
Right.
and there was just some seniors that had a Slipknot shirt on, and that was the time of Slipknot's self-titled album. And I heard Wait and Bleed, and I was instantly just like, this is fucking unbelievable. Previous to that, I was listening to Offspring and Everclear and other rock bands, but nothing super heavy, only because I didn't have exposure. But I heard Slipknot's Wait and Bleed, then heard the whole album. Simultaneously, I was listening to Korn's Follow Leader album, and that's really all that needs to be said. That was it. Those two albums catapulted me into metal. I've never left.
Nice, man. Nice. That's awesome. How about you, sir? What you want him to go first? All right. So, Dusty, tell me what you were listening to as a kid. What was your what was in your ear holes at that time?
Well, I just remember riding around in my mom's Bravada Oldsmobile, and it was a constant mix-up between Genesis, Phil Collins, and Melissa Etheridge. And honestly, like, that is about the entire extent of what I kind of grew up listening to, because my mom just blasted those on repeat all the time. And don't get me wrong, like, my dad's favorite band of all time is probably Nazareth, like Air of the Dog. And I mean, my dad doesn't really like a whole lot of music because he doesn't like.
He's an asshole.
Well, yeah, like most dads are, like.
Mine too.
Right, and they just like the one thing that they like, they do when they find out what they like.
Nazareth
they stick
is a
to
heavy. That's still a good band, though.
Well,
Nazareth is a
no,
good
I
band.
did know. I grew up on it. I
Yeah.
totally love it, and that's just what I listened to growing up. I mean, my mom, like, don't get me wrong, likes other bands that I don't necessarily like to tell people. Like, she likes like Savage Garden and 3 Doors Down and all that crap.
They all have their place.
Yeah,
They all
they
have
do.
their place, and like when you're growing up, you really don't have a choice. You don't get to pick the songs because
Yeah.
you're not driving the vehicle,
Yeah,
and
right.
that's how it goes.
Yeah. So how about heavy? When did it start for you? What was the first couple bands that you had listened to?
Well, me being an Iowan, like it sounds like a broken record, basically from everybody from Iowa. I love Slipknot.
35-inch Mutter.
Yeah,
Remember those guys?
What,
35-inch Mutter from Iowa. They were fucking kick-ass band.
No, I'm gonna have to
Dude.
check them out.
If you can get a hold of any 35-inch Mutter, they were like Slipknot's brother band. They were like the band that was neck and neck with each other all the time down there. Like they would
Wait,
call,
I thought that was Mushroom Head.
well, right there you go.
Right.
But
Beef.
that was one of those things that Mutter was up here a lot playing at the Quest and doing things with us as well.
I think Slipknot was huge for me. I was into Static X. I was into Mudvayne.
Fuck yeah.
Mudvayne was fucking huge for me.
Dude, that first fucking that
my God.
LD50 was a great fucking.
That's the
and
best album by far.
I get
Internal Primates
I
forever.
get a lot of flack for it, but I'm just gonna name off a couple like Taproot, Flaw, Primer 55. Watch me fucking jump when I get loose type of shit. And I used to be a huge wrestlehead, kind of like Brandon mentioned earlier, and I would watch WWF Raw is War, I'm sorry, but yeah, Raw is War every week, and after it on TV, they used to have this small segment of a TV show called Farm Club, and I was really exposed to a lot of bands from that. It was like Papa Roach, Eminem.
I remember Farm Club very
You remember
vividly.
Farm Club
Yeah.
with Matt Pinfield?
It was. Chimera had their first performance. in there.
Chimera was on
It was
there.
terrible, but yeah.
But that was like literally like I was excited for wrestling, but then after that, what I was really excited for was to hear about new music, like Limp Bizkit, and all the bands that they had on there was just huge to me. And I really think if I had to name just one band that got me into metal, it sounds cliche because I'm from Iowa, but I would have to say Slipknot, because Slipknot is the
Amen.
Prince. You grow up in Minnesota and everybody loves Prince. I never really understood it. You grow up in Iowa, everybody loves fucking Slipknot.
Yeah.
And
I grew up in Minnesota. I never really understood Prince, but I've always understood Slipknot.
Feel that, which is so great.
it was weird when I was
we all
growing
have
up in
the same
high
spot.
school. Like even like people who weren't in my clique, and when I say clique, it's pretty loose, but like I was pretty much a loser in
what
high
she said.
school. But like even like the preppy kids were like jamming Slipknot, and I always thought that was cool because we had that connection.
Yeah. It
even-
transcends, dude. Music
It
transcends.
really
dude.
does, and it was just like we had that common ground, but at the same time we were totally different.
Dude, a buddy of mine turned me on to a Miles Davis album, right? And I was in a fucking Sprint store with my wife. She's getting a phone, right? And this old guy and his wife are sitting there, and somehow I heard him just in passing talking about jazz. Like, oh, this will sound really good, and blah, blah, blah. And I go, hey, man, I start talking Miles Davis. The next thing I know, me and this old guy are fucking right next to each other talking jazz. Coltrane, fucking Mingus, all this fucking crazy jazz shit. And that was it. Like, our age difference was so far apart. And I'm a metalhead, diehard metalhead, and he's full on jazz, and I've always thought that metal and jazz are so similar because you have to really have an ear for it. You have to be willing to open up to the notes and the sounds and the changes and everything, and to be able to just really accept it. And I thought that those two were so close together, man. And for me to strike up a conversation with this old guy about jazz was like that pinnacle for me, where this dude would look over at me,
We're not that far
and go,
apart.
yeah, I would never talk to that fucking crazy looking gorilla looking bastard, and
Amen.
and all of a sudden,
The power of music.
yeah, dude, it's just, I love that. Sorry, that was my ADD moment there again, but yeah, that transcending of music and being able to branch out to other people and maybe not having those same people or even hanging out with those people, and maybe later on in high school you realize that, oh, you're not just a dumb dopey ass jock. We actually have a common bond. We're all proud of being an Iowan and actually having a band that we're proud of, that from our state, that is mean and fucking downright dirty, and just, you know what I mean, it
Hell
gives you
yeah.
that
It's
strength.
like you gotta root for the home team, man.
Fuck yeah,
you
man.
gotta.
Fuck yeah. If Iowa had a football team, you'd be
Are you from Iowa?
It would be
I'm not.
people equal shit.
You're making me think you are, man. Yeah, one of us. One of us.
Yeah, but it makes sense, I mean, you got to be proud of where you came from and what you're about. And I mean, honestly, Slipknot has had such an impact on on the Midwest in general. I mean, they really drew a lot of record labels to this area because of what kind of numbers they were doing financially. You
Yeah,
know, I mean,
Greg,
those numbers are
totally.
fucking for real. you know?
Agreed. Yeah, man, for sure. Actually, mind blowing, Greg. Bouncing off of the Slipknot thing. Yeah, I know. I for sure heard about how their financial status was every
Yeah.
show. They were making a lot of money, but you were talking about jazz. I didn't learn this until later in life, but Joey Jordison, I'm sure since you've met him face to face, the first thing he started out doing was jazz. He started out in a jazz band because that was literally and for any instrument, probably one of the hardest or most technical things to learn.
Yeah.
From what I've heard, my drum teacher told me that.
Improv.
Improv, yeah, man.
improvisation is
Literally.
huge when you're a musician, and if you can go flawlessly and seamlessly into, I mean, it's like fucking up. Fucking up on stage. It's like these guys will change time signatures like
It's
like
swing.
nobody's business, but it is it's so fucking
You learn this-
fluid, dude.
It's it's
for
swing,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, and when you're on stage, like I've always told anybody that I've ever jammed with, is like, if you fuck up, don't stop. Just count it out.
Exactly.
And look
That's
at
one
each
thing
other.
at practice.
And just-
Actually, to bounce off of that at practice.
These
once
idiots
we were
always
jamming-
stop when we fuck them.
Hey, actually, I was about to give credit to Chris. He calls us idiots, but that's cool. I feel it. No, honestly,
You ignoramus.
at practice, this is how from back in the day in high school, I was in a band. The first band I was in was called Accidents Happen, ironically. Accidents Happen. We were a punk band. We played punk with breakdowns. We had breakdowns and shit, but that was the one thing that we did at practice is we would jam, and then if someone fucked up to where it was noticeable, we started over due to the fact that, hey, let's not let that happen again. And with Common Choir, being in a band with these guys, it's been a great experience thus
we don't
far.
stop. We don't stop.
That's the way to do
Nope.
it.
And that is the way to do it, but I also know, like Chris, he pointed out one time, yo, man, if we're playing a live show, like, you can't stop, which is 100% totally
you
the
can't,
truth.
man.
That is totally the truth. But that's why, in my opinion, they call it band practice, because, dude, we have the freedom to do that. Let's go back and repeat that and make sure it sounds clean. Like, that was my only opinion on that. Other than that, I totally agree with what Chris says.
Well, let's
dude,
go-
if you're playing a live show and you screw up,
Let's
like
go.
you said, improvise.
Let's go back to
Improvise.
what we were trying to do. What were some of the bands or things that were musically going on in your household from what you what you were listening to as a kid? What was your mom and dad, your brothers, sisters, anything? What were you listening to?
Yeah,
as a kid?
totally. So I'll just start from the beginning.
Nickelback.
Like I did earlier, I mentioned from New York originally. Grew up there. Lived with my dad. My mom and dad divorced. Whatever. They were both into metal. Still good friends after all that. I lived with my dad, and I always wanted to play drums.
Yeah.
That was like the one thing, tapping on things, man. I would always tap. My dad, his dad, my grandpa, I called him Pop.
Yeah.
He had a bunch of cookie tins that he would save up for me. The first thing that I ever played drums on were cookie tins.
Right.
With a spoon and a fork or whatever I could
Right.
do. And to base off of their stories with Slipknot, I actually, because he said he saw his buddy wearing in high school a shirt that said Slipknot on it. I was actually like about 7 or 8 years old. I was sitting in the back seat of the car that my dad was driving, and there was a buddy in the front. His name was Justin. He had a hat, like a winter hat on that said Slipknot.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was like, "Who's Slipknot?"
Yeah. Right.
I was like, "Who's Slipknot?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, Slipknot? Oh, dude, they're a metal band. You should check them out." And like me and my dad, dude, literally, I finished communion.
Yeah.
My communion.
Yeah.
We left my communion listening to "People Equal Shit"
That's
from My Plague.
That's awesome, dude.
Good song, man.
Yeah,
That's
we
awesome,
and I was swearing during it, and he was like, "Hey, watch your mouth." And I'd be
don't
like,
even
"Nah,
care.
Dad, I got to
It's-
continue."
Right.
But no, like the influences, thanks to my father, my uncles, my whole family, man. They've been supporting me. I have family that's not a fan of metal that support me, and the band, so to speak. Starting out with Soundgarden. My dad was a huge fan of Soundgarden, got me into them, and my Uncle Ed was like, dude, let's buy him a little mini kit, right? Got a mini kit, and I was jamming to fucking
more beer
Black
in there.
Hole, son.
You can have some though. Go ahead.
Yeah, grab
If you
some
want
beer,
one, have
dude.
one.
Grab me one,
Go
too.
ahead. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
just get one.
You're good.
But yeah,
Drink it up.
I will be donating to Ritual Madness.
Do it up.
We will be donating.
madness. Grab me one.
I thought I brought enough.
No, there's some in there, and I think in the top green one there's some Coors Lights in there too.
Oh my
that
God.
Top, that
I
top
love.
green.
We got to
green
tap the
color.
Rockies.
Dude, he's
There you
got
go,
it
right there.
labeled.
Yeah, the green one's got some.
This is how it
hairs
goes
in
at practice. The drummer speaks, everyone. Just good.
No.
Hey,
No,
dude, I'm
dude,
busy
totally
tuning. Can you just shut up?
Get you let me, thanks, Chris.
Doodly, doodly,
Appreciate it.
doodly, doodly.
Dusty. But no, legitimately, yeah, Soundgarden. That was the first band I jammed to. I was like, wow, as a kid, that was inspiring. And then when I saw that dude wearing the hat, Slipknot, that changed
Which
my life.
Soundgarden album did you catch on to right away?
The one that has Black Hole Sun. If
That's
that,
Super Unknown.
yeah, Super Unknown. Is that the one with like his face kind of fogged
blurred,
out the whole band? Yeah.
Dude, fucking 4th of July, dude.
That song's heavy.
Dun,
Dun 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 dun.
Yeah, man.
It's kind of heavy.
as fuck, dude.
It's cool talking to you guys about it because
Kim Thale, dude. Kim Thale. I always pictured that fucking dude as like a snake
The
charmer.
day I tried to
dude.
live.
the
Oh,
snake
man.
charmer. Fuck
The
yeah.
day I tried to live.
That's badass.
But no, it's cool coming from. I was born in '94, man. So like at that time, it was.
Can we just get a laugh for that?
I hate to interject real quick, but I was actually at Northern Invasion last year, and I saw one of his last performances. And when I saw it, I'm glad I didn't take it for granted. I was all eyes, and I watched the performance because it was my first time seeing Soundgarden. And it just really sucks that I won't be able to see any of his other
Yeah,
projects.
dude. Yeah.
Like, as much as I'd like to just see,
I saw
God rest
Soundgarden,
his soul.
Audio Slave, and his solo shit.
Audio Slave would have been.
I mean, I've
awesome.
seen Rage. I've seen,
I saw Rage on their first tour with House of Pain.
I saw Rage when they were rallying against the Republican National Convention, and that was one of the coolest fucking things I've ever seen. After I left the show at the
Dude, they tried to start a fucking
no,
riot in First Avenue.
there's
dude.
so many
It's
cops
fucking
on
crazy.
horses. I've never seen anything. Like, there was cops on horses, and I was like, holy shit, I've never seen that many cops on fucking horses. Ever, especially in the middle of the Twin Cities.
That's how they should do it. Being eco-friendly is the way to
But
go.
all I remember after the show, I got one more thing. After the show, everybody when we were walking back to my car, everybody was screaming, "These streets are our streets." It was that much fucking hype in the air. You could fucking literally cut it, with a knife. It was so cool. And
How do we pivot from Chris Cornell to Rage?
We were just kind of
spiraling
out of control.
Yeah, everyone had
It's
influences.
ADD, dude. That's
Yeah.
how it is.
Yeah, like.
So let's go back to the
just
Soundgarden.
to
So
finish-
you said so Soundgarden was something that you started. banging on
Soundgarden,
the
yeah, it
tunes
was
with,
something I started jamming to, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. And then all of a sudden, my dad started jamming Slipknot because that dude Justin, I was hooked due to the drums, guitars, vocals, everything. I was a kid, dude, as a kid, and moved on from there, started jamming. I was living with my mom at the time. She, I was living with her. Great person, seriously in support of the metal scene, the band, everything.
Right.
I got a call from my dad while I was at her house, and he was like, hey son, happy birthday. Guess what? I got you a gift. And I'm listening, and I'm like, okay, what is it? He was like, listen. He gets on the kit, dude. Starts jamming on the Tama, and I'm like, dude, never had a kit in my life. Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I can't wait to come over and jam, Dad.
Right,
Sweet.
right.
And then we started jamming together. He knew fucking all Metallica songs.
Right.
Me and him were jamming, him and I were jamming For Whom the Bell Tolls and all that from
Right.
Metallica.
Damn, you
As
sound
a
like you
kid,
got
man.
a
Time marches on.
cool ass fucking dad,
Dude,
dude.
yeah,
Holy
he's
shit.
awesome. And then my Uncle Jerry, he's
Dude,
he's
Uncle
a drummer
Jerry
too.
dog.
They all know.
Uncle Jerry's awesome.
Uncle Jerry Langbeck. I'm just gonna give him an honorable mention.
Dude, he's gonna love that. Seriously, he
It's
might
okay.
he might
It's-
message you personally.
Okay.
but
Yeah,
no,
we-
yeah.
Just to credit what Brandon's saying is, I mean, everybody in the band is pretty decent, but I would say by far the best natural musician in the band is Brandon.
Oh, nice.
He's
Dude, that means a lot, man.
he doesn't have
Thanks.
to practice too much outside of
He's gifted.
practice.
As much as
and
I wish I could.
he's able to pick up on drums things I'm playing without a problem, which maybe means I'm just a bad
We
guitar
can
player.
we can literally, like me speaking as a guitar player, just like Chris.
Easy to connect with.
I can bring an idea to practice, and he can literally. It's so uncanny that I can play a riff, and he already knows where I'm going with it.
Yeah.
He doesn't even have to hear the end of it. He already knows when it stops and starts again.
Yeah.
It's so uncanny.
Yeah.
I love this
Yeah,
dude.
tremendous, dude.
And we don't give you enough credit.
Seriously.
We bust your balls
I don't want
so much.
credit. I
Tremendous,
just want
dude.
this band thing to go a
We
long
bust
way.
your
You
balls so
guys
much.
too.
We bust your
seriously.
balls a lot, but we love you and we understand
Love you guys too,
how
man.
how talented you are, and we don't take that for
Same to you guys.
we don't take that for
don't-
granted.
We
I
don't. We
take that for
really
granted.
don't. You know,
Same here, man.
if anyone else says the things I say about you, I will fucking hurt them.
If Matt Rutherford was
man.
here, you guys would be fucking docking. I love you guys. Doc.
Diaper to diaper.
We would literally be fucking touching dicks right now.
It's awesome, dude.
No, that's great, dude. Honestly, I want to say, because we're on a podcast, thanks to you guys for being in the band with me. Seriously, you guys are creative guitar players. I jam with
Create
these
Control,
guys.
motherfucker.
Cool.
Common Choir. Create Control was my old band.
I say that just
And now
because-
we're in a band, ironically, CC, Common
Right.
Choir. But no, these dudes, it's like going to practice. If they have something to bring to the table, we just jam it out.
Sure.
You know, just like any band would. But like, no, from influences after that, I got, after Soundgarden and Slipknot, I'd say Linkin Park is another one because of their diversity, man.
Sure.
Linkin Park, in middle school, like, I didn't walk the halls, like, with a lot of knowledge, obviously. I mean, I knew some things, but it was mainly music,
Right. Yeah.
And Linkin Park, man, that's what got me going in the morning in middle school. And then
Sure.
9th grade came around, and I was a huge
I had the
fan.
pleasure to play with those guys before. I got to share the stage with those guys before.
Oh my
They were
goodness,
huge.
Linkin?
Twice.
That's
yeah.
Wow, dude.
that's astounding,
Awesome.
dude.
That's
Good for you,
that's
man.
an easy band to hate, but a band that I've always liked.
No, they were such nice guys in the very beginning.
I know.
hard.
Before I even
right now.
thought about starting a band, I was in my room playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater with the TV on mute and listening to Hybrid Theory.
Dude,
on repeat.
hybrid theory is the
That's
best.
the album.
And
Crawling in my
Meteor.
fucking skin, bro.
Yeah, that was a great one. Meteor was good too. But yeah, after Linkin Park, after hearing all that awesomeness, then 9th grade came around. Then it was hardcore metal, post-hardcore, whatever. Day to Remember is my number one. They all know that. Their ability to mix clean melodic riffs with a really heavy sound, incorporating screams with cleans and heavy vocals and breakdowns, to me is just fucking mind-blowing.
Right.
Another great band that I love is August Burns Red. String shredding, drum smashing, insane band. The breakdowns will literally spin your head around.
Right.
They're awesome, and they're also a Christian band too, which is something that a lot of people that believe metal is evil. It's like,
Right.
dude, listen
Just
to
like
their
Norma
lyrics.
Jean.
Right.
It's all good.
Right.
Their breakdowns and shit might make you think Satan,
Right.
but realistically, it's awesome,
Right.
really cool. We'll just make this the last one, Issues. As I mentioned earlier, 2017, I got big into them. They're sort of like A Day to Remember, containing melodic guitar riffs, heavy breakdowns, and hardcore, along with clean vocals.
Nice.
And man, that's what I live for. Get good guitars, good drums, good
Well,
vocals.
you went right into what we were going to do next. So why don't you
Sick.
guys go from the 5 bands that you guys were selecting as well? I gave these guys a couple pieces of paper and asked them to do 5 bands that really inspire their playing style, where they kind of take their music, their style from, as these bands, these 5 bands. So why don't you guys go ahead and he already named off his 5. So go ahead.
Thank you for your time.
Somebody, anyone?
I'll go first. So I'm going to start with my number one of all time. It's Norma Jean. They're a band out of fucking Douglasville, Georgia, I believe. Anyways, it doesn't matter where they're from. They've had a whole bunch of lineup changes, and when I first heard I can't even tell you the first album. I think it was the Anti-Mother album, but it just caught my ear, and I was just so infatuated with the way, they wrote their structure of their songs was just amazing, and the complexity in the simpleness of like some of the rhythms and then some of the leads. It was just like less is more, and that really went into play with how I operate now as a musician, because
One of the best ways, by the way.
I feel
So
like
you know
because
that.
I used to be a bass player, and I was a bass player for a long time in a band, and some of the things that I did the best that really shined as a bass player was playing less.
Yeah.
I didn't have to play every,
Simplistic, yeah.
and it really made the parts pop, and I really just added to music, and I kind of took that into when I transitioned to guitar, that I was going to keep that as kind of like a thing that I did, like I'm going to keep this less is more type of thing. But to continue on with my list, I love Census Fail. I love everything about them. I love their songwriting. I love the aggressiveness of their style. I love how they can be angry and how they can be really emotional at the same time. It's really the transfer of enthusiasm in their music that really hits home with me. When I listen to their music, it really just gets
Resonates?
me. It resonates. Yeah, that's a perfect. Thank you. Thank you. I could spend fucking 20 years talking about Census Fail and how awesome they are and how much I love that band, but I'm going to continue down the line. Seosin, another band that really fucking...
Enough said. Yeah, Seosin.
Seosin is awesome. Everyone's going to hate me for saying this, but I really enjoy the Cove era more so than the Anthony Green era. And not to say anything bad about the Anthony Green era, I really love the Translating the Name EP, but I'm glad he went on to do Circus Survive and that they picked up a different singer to do the Seosin stuff because that was phenomenal. Both of them, they just two different animals. I love them both and respectively, both in their own. And then to break it down, a little more local, that was really heavy for me. Like when I moved to Minnesota, one of the first bands I ever saw live, I actually asked this teller out that worked at my bank, and she took me to a show at the Segway Cafe. I believe it was somewhere off Rockford Road. I can't remember exactly where the Segway Cafe used to be because it's no longer a venue, but I caught this band. They were called Write This Down. And they're a Christian band.
They're awesome.
And they fucking blew my mind. I'm a huge fan of them. And
Are they still around?
They just put out the Foundation CD, I think like 3 or 4 years ago, but I'm not sure if they're still around. I'm pretty sure they're all doing their own thing right now. They probably got jobs and have raising kids now.
Dude, you know what's crazy, and I don't mean to cut in, but I think you guys are talking about Christian bands. Back in the day, there was a handful that I listened to, Believer and Deliverance and Living Sacrifice, and there's
Definitely sounds Christian.
there's 2 or 3 other ones that I went to go see. There used to be a venue called the New Union around here, and they used to have heavy shows, and I actually almost got kicked out of a couple because I was pitting so hard to them. But it was like people slept on those fucking bands, like they weren't heavy because they were Christian bands. And Believer was one of those bands that was so fucking heavy, man. And I seen them a bunch of times, and I seen them in Milwaukee, and they opened up. They played right before Deicide, and it was so crazy that this ultra death metal fucking satanic band and had
Deicide's brutal.
Believer play before him, and even seen Glenn Benton outside bitching about Believer playing before him, but Believer fucking blew doors, dude. They were so heavy, and I think people sleep on the fact again. Music in general, without the undertones of whatever you take it as, you know what I mean? So you have beliefs in Christianity or whatever it is. It's not my style. I don't really give a shit what you believe. I think that people draw strength from faith, and whatever it is that you believe in, you're going to draw strength from that. And I think that's so key. But again, music is such a transcendent thing that it doesn't matter what you believe. It's how you fucking play what you're playing. And those bands, like you said, the Norma Jean and the one
August
you said,
Burns.
And the other one you just said.
Write this down.
And so that to me, it means absolutely fuck all to me when it comes to religion. But
the thing is,
the music is so amazing.
The thing is I'm not a fucking. I mean, I am a Christian, but I'm not the fucking like knock on your door, seek and convert kind of Christian.
Right.
I just was like trying to get with the teller,
Christ.
At my bank, I just was going to a show and I just happened to stumble across a band that just blew my fucking mind, dude. They were so good. Write this down.
In the green one, Brandon, up on top, the green one will have the Coors Light in there.
Anyways, I went to a show. And then I was totally just blown away. I picked up their the Alarm EP. I know I can't even find it anymore. It's on Amazon right now. If you want the Alarm EP, you got to pay $50 for it. I had a physical copy of it, and it just changed my fucking whole life. It's like that's really, at that point, I knew I wanted to be in a band.
Right.
And I saw it, and I was just like, you know what? I don't necessarily want to do exactly what they're doing, but I know exactly what they're doing is kind of what I want to do. I believed. I mean, it was awesome to witness their live performance, and
Life-changing,
I
dude.
love their songs, and it doesn't matter if they were singing about fucking
Goats.
about goats or it doesn't matter what they were singing about. What they were doing is what made me want to do what I wanted to do.
Sure. Did you
And
make it through your list? Oh,
I have one more.
all right, sorry.
The last band I have on my list is called it's a band called Small Towns Burn a Little Slower.
Yeah.
And I grew up in a town in a small town, Iowa, in northern Iowa, and one of the guys in that band was from my town. And when I moved to Minnesota, I was able to catch his band while they were still relevant and playing music, and it was really cool. It was like one of those bands for me that,
Did you get to talk to the dude?
well, yeah, I know him personally
Oh,
now,
nice.
but at the time when I came to Minnesota,
Yeah.
he didn't know I was from the same town, and
Yeah.
it's now since we're friends or whatever, but like
That's badass.
at the time, like it was just such influential to me to see somebody come from small town Iowa and then murder the scene here in Minneapolis at the Triple Rock at a sold out show.
Yeah.
It was the best thing for me because it just
Again,
made
dude-
it made me think that I could do it too.
Dude,
and
tone's a home too, man. You know what I mean? Like that's that's where you're from, dude. You know what I mean?
that's where I was from, and that made me realize that it's not impossible
Yeah.
to go out there and, do the damn thing. I found a group of guys. It took me a while, but I found the group of guys, and we're trying to do the same thing. And I don't think we've actually reached that same, step of along the way. But like that's so influential to me. As Small Towns Burn a Little Slower.
But it's
totally
paving the
different
way
style.
for you too, though. It's paving the way for you to
It made me,
trailblaze.
it
dude,
made
you know?
me realize that the shit is doable. You know, like you can go out there and put, anything you want to do, you can do it if you try hard enough.
Hard work, dude. Yeah, for sure. So I know you guys, in between the breaks, you guys are talking about having 4 CDs left. If anybody's listening right now, these guys want to give away these last 4 CDs and their EP. I know if you want to contact them on their Facebook page right now, if you're listening and you want to get a copy, there's only 4 of them left, and they're talking about maybe redoing them later on down the road, but they have 4 left. If you want to contact these guys on their Common Choir Facebook page, you guys have access
Message
to that
us.
stuff right now.
Message us for this last
Message
4.
them right now if you're the.
We only have
wanna
4 physical
hit us up,
copies left,
man.
and they will be different next time. So
Bang your head.
yeah, we have 4 copies left. Please message us. The first 4 people, we'll get them for free. We'll send them to you. There will probably be some extras in there, maybe a couple cool Polaroids of us,
Chris's
maybe
pubic
our
hair.
dicks, but just kidding.
Lucky.
Just kidding. But at the same,
Pick!
but at the same time, we have 4 physical copies left, and when this run is gone, they are gone forever. And the next time we re-release this run, if we decide to do it, which I'm sure we probably will, but it will be a different style of everything.
Layout, yeah.
Layout
Yeah.
and everything. So
And how many guys are in the band? 4 or 5?
5.
5. So there'll be 5 Polaroids in the envelope.
With
of
5
their
pubic
dicks.
hair
So
bags.
when you're at the concert, you have to match them up as you. Yeah, he would have that dick.
This is
It's-
Chris. Mine will be the
yeah,
blackest.
Yeah. You are. You're ethnic. I see that.
I'm very ethnic. My blue eyes are very ethnic.
But in all seriousness,
Ethnicist.
we won't send you dick pics.
Liar. Be
All
fun.
right, okay,
have
I'm
fun
in.
with it. God damn it.
We'll sign that
we
shit.
do have Polaroids, but
Not many.
We got to get
know.
people to accept those pics first.
I don't want to make fun of myself that much.
All right, well, let's take a listen to some tunes, and we've got to hit these up and get these guys going here. It's getting late. I appreciate everybody still tuning in. Make sure you contact them right now. There's only 4 copies left. Make sure you get a hold
First
of one
4
of
get
those.
it.
Yep, first 4 get it. Hit them up on their Facebook page right now, and we'll try to get those out to you. These guys will get in touch with you and get them over to you. They'll probably meet you, or you got to come and see them at one of their shows and obtain one of these bad boys.
We'll make it easy.
Yep, there's only 4 left, so get a hold of one of these. We're gonna take a listen. We got some He Is Legend. That's one. Yes.
Yeah.
And then we got some Himsa, 100 Sons, and then 2 of yours, number 11, which is Low Hide Whitewash. Sorry.
Yeah.
and then
And that's hide with an eye, not a
Trash
wash.
too, so.
and then 15, which would be Coastal Feeding. We got those as well. So stick around, folks. We got a little bit left, and we'll be back. Chris, that long outro was your idea, wasn't it?
How did you know that?
I don't know. I'll just give you a hard time. So thank you for listening. This is Ritual Madness Podcast, episode 172 with the guys from Common Choir. I appreciate everybody tuning in and taking the time out of their busy evenings. It is a Friday. What is it? The fucking 16th of February, just after the crazy shooting in Florida. Much prayers and love to the families and friends of those people that were innocently taken away from us in this world. We all have to be good to each other, folks, and no matter what side of the gun issue that you're on, just realize that we all have to make a change in this world and actually fucking start caring about each other. And we try to do this with our music and pass our good vibes forward to everybody. And Common Choir is one of those bands that is passing that good feeling forward, that good vibe forward. And I hope you guys check them out. I hope you guys are able to contact these guys and get to some of their shows and support them. And I just want to say, you know, with all this craziness going on in the world, we do have to be conscious of the people around us and have some fucking respect for each other. And I know that there are a lot of people out there all the way up and down Facebook this whole last week with this shit going on. They get into these arguments, and people, you have to understand that everybody they're going to have different opinions about this shit and different things. We all have to live on this earth, and we all have to be a part of being at Walmart one day or Target the next day or being at Burger King or school or anything like that. And it's important for you fucking people to realize that to step back out of your fucking bubble and realize that other people have shit going on in their lives as well. If you can lend a hand to those people or try to help them, and I'm not saying, you know, there are people out there that take advantage of those situations and try to get over on people, and I'm not saying that you have to fucking help those idiots either, but I'm just saying be good to each other and fucking make a difference in life, man, because life is way too short.
Yeah.
Way too short, and we're not guaranteed this tomorrow or this life for much longer and whatever. So enough with my ranting and shit, but do me a favor, check out ritualmadnesspodcast.com. Connect with us on iTunes, Stitcher, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the YouTube channel. Download the Listen to My Radio app. That's LISTE and the number 2 My Radio. Search Ritual Madness Podcast in the search bar and bookmark it. You can listen to the live shows on your phone and still get around and do your deal, or you just go to ritualmadnesspodcast.listentomyradio.com and you can connect with us on our Fridays. We do our live casts, and I do upload these, and you could go to ritualmadnesspodcast.com and hit the episodes tab, and you can listen to all of those episodes there. 170 up there right now. I'm going to upload the 171 here real soon. A lot of rap on that one. My brother came in and we talked about some crazy stories from our youth and stealing and being fucking addicts and being crazy and
ruthless,
doing crazy shit, being savages, being rotten savages. If you're in a band or you have friends that are in bands, please send your stuff to ritualmadnesspodcast@gmail.com. I'll definitely throw you guys on the playlist, and you'll be played in regular rotation. If you want to set up a podcast, please contact me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, any of that stuff. We'll try to get things worked out. I'm about a month out right now, booked with guests on Fridays, and you know, we only have so many Fridays in a month, so I try to get as many people in as I can. So be patient. I will get to you, I promise, and all that other good stuff. Again, we want to get back to the guys from Common Choir. Chris, we kind of skipped over you and your 5 bands that really inspire where you're going with your musical stuff. So let's get to you, Chris. What do you got for bands on your list there, bud?
Yeah, you know, I'll try to be succinct with this and not drag it out. You know, I think a lot of the bands...
drag it out.
Drag the lake, bro. Drag the lake.
I think the bands that I would list here are bands that I probably don't listen to super often in my day-to-day routine, whether it be at work or at the gym or wherever it is that I may be. You know, there's a lot of modern music now that I'm listening to that's fresh that I'm listening to during the day. But
Kesha and shit.
Fuck her, dude. I fucking hate that shit.
He just looks over at me like, bitch, I'll slap the fuck out of you, man.
Yeah, I hate that shit. But you know,
that's awesome.
As far as my influential bands that have really formed me as a guitar player and kind of built me up, I got to start with In Flames. You know, they have a beautiful blend of harmonies and rhythms that just collide in a really heavy but pretty way. You can just tell they're musicians. Next, you know, Animals as leaders. Love those guys.
Those guys are technical as fuck.
No vocals. You just listen to their music, and it's just an awesome blend again of rhythm and lead. And that's a lot of what I try to do in Common Choir. You know, I try to inject lead and harmony into chaotic rhythm, and to bring something pretty out of the music that we're playing that's maybe more aggressive and heavy.
What you do?
I try to do that. Number 3, Chimera. I don't listen to these guys very much anymore, but these guys are just so brutal back in the day when I was picking up the guitar.
Played
They're
with them,
super
too.
influential. Yeah, I love those guys. They're awesome. Slipknot, super heavy, good musicians. I mean, there's tons of kids nowadays that be like, "Oh, Slipknot, you like them? Fuck you, you little twerp." Slipknot's fucking awesome. Yeah, I'm old, dude. Fuck you, you
Maggot for life.
you dumbass
You wouldn't
millennial,
know,
whatever you
bro.
are. Slipknot is
know.
fucking the shit. Dimmu Borgir, you know what? They make the most
Demon Burger.
ruthlessly, yeah, exactly.
I'll eat that.
The most ruthlessly savage, dark music.
That
But then
puritanical shit is bad as fuck, dude.
they blend this like symphonic element to it that just is. It's like, I don't know if this is like the most beautiful thing I've ever heard, or if it's the most evil thing I've ever heard. But either way, it sounds
They've got
incredible.
one of the dirtiest fucking tour buses I've ever seen in my life. I partied with Nick Barker on their tour bus one time.
And it was dirty, huh?
Dude, it was fucking a disaster. It was like someone took a fucking bag and put it in their car, and they stuffed all their beer cans and all their shit in there, and then took the bag and just threw it all over their bus, dude. There's just shit everywhere. And it's like this badass tour bus, with all the bunks and fucking, the little
like shit.
dude, it was like the lounge in the front and the lounge in the back. It was just fucking beer and fucking food and shit
kinda
everywhere,
gross.
dude. Yeah, it was kind of crazy, man.
Demon Borgir, I've lost a little bit of respect for you, but you know what? I'm still gonna listen to you.
Slobs.
And the last one I'm going to list is Joe Satriani. Joe Satriani is an incredible guitar player, and
Surfing with the alien.
I'll never be as good as he is, but he finds a way to cross, rhythm again, and this is kind of a theme.
You going to that G3 thing?
I want to. This is the theme of my inspiration, but he crosses, amazing leads and really tasteful leads. They're not like, not always super technical, but they're just very well placed into a rhythm, and that's what I try to do in the music that I write.
Sure. Nice, man. That's a nice list, man. It's very good. Very good. Very good. So, did you guys get any hits on your website? Is everybody asleep already? They're drunk and asleep.
We don't actually have access to it, so
The guy who isn't here.
the guy who runs our social will let us know, and we will definitely fulfill the EP.
So tell us why your vocalist isn't here. I know he's had some issues, right? Some just this week he had some stomach issues, right?
Right. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Chris, can you help me out here?
He was I think feeling fine until recently, and then he went, sorry, Zach, if you're listening, I'm not trying to divulge too much, but he basically went into the hospital with diverticulosis, which basically is a scientific, boring way of saying he had some stomach issues that could potentially been serious. I think of his young age, he's young, 10 years younger than me almost. He seemed to bounce back pretty well, which is good. I just think it just sounds like from what he said, he needs some time to rest and recover a little bit, but it doesn't seem to be as serious as it could have been.
Well, good, man. Good.
So I think it'll be okay.
As
Hopefully
far
it
as
heals up
we know,
good.
they didn't have to have surgery or
An
anything. They
amputated
just
leg or
have him on
nothing?
antibiotics
He's not
at this
gonna. He's
point.
not
He still
gonna
has
have
a
wooden
gut.
leg. He's not gonna have a wooden leg. or
Like
nothing?
he's ready for practice tomorrow. And we are too.
I
with
don't
the
think he's ready for practice.
Yeah, well, yeah. With
He
the
is not.
consideration.
He is definitely 100% not going to practice tomorrow. He will be
Yeah,
there.
Drew.
He will be there in spirit and physically, but he will not be screaming in the microphone
Yeah.
because
It'll be more so with his eardrums. Yes.
We don't want him to pop his gut. We have a show in 2 weeks, and
it's a big one.
God willing, or
Our
whoever you care about willing, he'll hopefully be ready to climb board stage for that one. But if he's not, it's okay. It's his health, and we respect him and his ability, and he hasn't let us down yet. So if he needs some extra time, it's okay. We'll manage.
Awesome. Well, I hope he heals up well, man. That's always a tough thing.
We
man.
love you, Zach.
Dude, I fucking had a hernia for years. 5 years I had an umbilical hernia, and it just was like the size of a nickel, but like a marble, nickel-sized marble in my belly button. And we practiced before a big show. We had 2 shows back to back, and it fucking tore and popped open more. So then it became like a $50 size,
Yeah.
marble in my belly button. I actually had to take my belt off my pants and tie it around my belly button
Hold it tight.
and to hold it tight. And we played the first show, Then the next show, I fucking got done and I took that belt off, dude, and it felt like my guts were just gonna pop out of my belly button. It hurt so fucking bad.
dude.
We practiced, then we played the following weekend with another show. I did the same thing. I tied a belt around it, and then I was like, this is enough. I had this hernia for 5 or 6 years without having it taken care of. Went to the doctor. Doctor poked at it. He's like, does that hurt? Does that hurt? No. Fucking let it roll. I was like, okay, cool. So I let it roll, and then it tore again. I felt this burning in my stomach, and I'm like, fuck, man, I gotta have this fixed, you know. So I was working a pretty physical job at the time, and I actually had to take like 6 to 8 weeks off because my stomach had tore, and I had to get it fucking fixed. The surgery was a breeze, getting over and getting done, man. And I have a buddy at work that was going in this weekend to get his fixed, and I was like, he's going, oh yeah, I'll be back and up and running and working in 2 weeks. I was like, dude, no, and you should not push yourself, and hopefully your singer's not going to push himself too hard, because it is just very tough with your stomach muscles and healing all of that stuff. And if they went in and fixed anything, no matter the size of the incision or anything like that, it is so important to get that healed up, because those muscles will never heal totally if you're expanding them too much and pushing too much. It will really mess with you. And
Do it right the first time.
yeah, for sure. And I know, I mean, dude, taking a shit and taking a piss the first 2
Laughing.
weeks, dude, yeah, coughing, anything, it just sucked. It was so horrible. And being a big dude like I am, man, like trying to twist and turn and get in and out of bed, man. I had to have my wife, you know, and she's fucking tiny compared to my big ass. And, you know, it's like having her try to help me out of the fucking bed was a nightmare, you know, almost pulling her in the bed the whole time, you know, it's fucking it's tough.
I told Zach I was gonna punch him in the fucking gut tomorrow. So I hope Zach, I hope you're ready for that. I'm not a little guy. I'm gonna punch you straight in the fucking belly tomorrow. But
Yeah, when he gets done, I'm gonna punch you right in the dick.
Yeah, there you go. That'll
And I'm
even it
gonna-
out, though.
Yep,
It'll even it out. It's good.
is what it is.
Yeah, man.
So I'm just gonna sit back and enjoy that
How can,
self-inflicted
how
famine.
How can people get in touch with you? How can they book your band?
Dusty, go ahead.
Well, I think the best thing you can do is email us at commonchoirbooking@gmail.com. Also, you can always reach out on our Facebook or any of our other social media where you can message us. You know, we might not get back to you the exact same day, but just know that
We will get back to
we
you.
will get back to you. It might not be right away, but we will. We don't all have access to those kind of things because it's all going through one person at this point. Just to keep it, you know,
Just keep it tidy and not too many cooks in the kitchen.
not exactly. So not 5 different people from the band are emailing back to you. So we have one guy designated for that, and everybody in our band kind of has their own jobs, and we all kind of stick to it, and that's kind of how we roll. And yeah, just hit us up.
It's a good way to do that, too, by the way.
That's just how we always have done things, and it's just easiest that way. That way, you're not receiving information from a bunch of different people in the band because everybody.
Confusing as fuck.
It's so confusing, and then like booking is so confusing as it is. Just email us. That's the best way. commonchoirbooking@gmail.com. Yeah, that's all I have to really say about that.
What do you guys have coming up for shows? You got some shows coming up?
Yeah, we have a show on March 3rd, which is at the Caboose. It's a Saturday night, and that show is with Throw the Fight, 3 Pill Morning, and Smiling Politely. We're playing second, and that's a really good opportunity for us to play with some bands that are perhaps a little bit different than us. We're going to be the heavier band that night, which I fully embrace.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that will, hopefully garner a little bit new exposure. And then, Dusty, the next one after that is when again?
I believe it's not actually announced yet, but I'm going to go ahead and just let the cat out of the bag right now. We plan on playing
Zero budget.
Zero Budget Records is doing a showcase at the Hook and Ladder on March 25th, and I believe we are definitely one of the bands that are playing that night, as well as a handful of others from their record label who are going to be totally sweet to see. So I definitely want you guys all to come out and see that show because it's a new venue that's just popping up and it's taking place of all the other venues that are closing down. They're a new up and coming venue, and I can't wait to play there because I love playing new venues no matter where they are or how big or small they are, and it will be a fun experience.
Oh yeah, man, that's
Most
awesome.
definitely.
Very cool. Very cool.
Greg, where the hell did the Rock go? Where the hell did the Quest go?
The Rock is still there. The Rock is the Doghouse now, and they do a lot of cover bands nowadays. They don't do a lot of local stuff.
Who the fuck cares about that?
Right. But it's still there, and it's still a great place to play. I actually hosted a nuisance show there. I want to say right around Halloween time. So it's still there. The Quest is a club that actually closed down. They just closed that whole venue down. It's a fucking damn shame. But it wasn't the same. There's different booking agents there.
It's a nightclub now, isn't it? Pretty much.
No, I don't think so. I think it's something completely
What
different.
about the Urban Wildlife? Remember that?
Urban Wildlife totally closed down too. They had some issues, some financial issues, from what I understand. There was like a couple different owners, and they actually didn't get the okay from the people who actually own the building. So they did lose your ability to be there anymore. So they closed that venue down.
I saw a band called 40 Below Summer there in 2003.
Oh yeah, they were
And
awesome.
that was a good show.
Yeah, they were awesome.
Those were good times.
That was a great fucking venue.
awesome.
That was really fun. That front bar was a blast, man.
Yeah, I didn't
Reminds
even
me
know
of
what
Joey
the
Moya.
Joey Moya. Yeah,
Joey Moya.
legitimately, like I didn't even know what the Rock was. Like I knew that the Triple Rock and the Rock existed.
Yeah.
Years ago, it was back in like 2011. We all know who Hondo is, but Hondo Pena, he's actually the vocalist of By the Thousands now. The only time I ever played the Rock was with his band. He actually asked me, "Yo, could you fill in for my drummer?
Right.
Just play a show with us, just as a farewell show."
Sure.
This is with his old band, Within Dismay. This was before like not There It Is Murder. Murder My Mistress. It was Within Dismay, Murder My Mistress, and now By the Thousands.
Right.
Playing at
Such a
the
hipster
Rock.
name.
Yeah, playing at the Rock, dude, was a cool experience.
Yeah.
It was more
Great fucking stage, man.
great
room.
stage sound,
Yeah.
everything. And then after it closed down, I heard it actually.
I saw
turned into
Taproot there.
a country club.
It did.
Yeah,
It did.
a country, not even a cover band place, but
Yeah.
that's cool to hear.
Yeah.
That you say a cover band's
Yeah.
play there. I
And
like covers
Joe
and stuff.
Spanbauer, the guy who basically was part owner of the Urban Wildlife.
He used to
that
do
does-
sound at Pav's, just not right down the block
Yep.
here.
Yep.
What
He did.
happened to that place?
That place closed down because they had like a fucking dance night on Thursday nights, and they had a lot of cop calls and people going over there, people getting stabbed, and all kinds of shit happened over there.
Sucks because I saw Power Man there and he was awesome.
Yeah, we
Alright.
played with Psycho Stick over there.
Oh, yeah.
We
Yeah,
played-
yeah,
I-
yeah. Big name.
My old band played with Psycho Stick. That was
Yeah, they're
awesome.
such cool guys, man.
They
They're
are.
so cool.
They throw down.
Yeah,
All right,
they do. They
Greg,
do.
and for a finale for closed venues, what the fuck happened to Station 4?
For real.
Station 4.
For real, my
Station-
hometown.
Station 4
Construction?
had gone through a bunch of different changes, and basically they changed ownership, and the owners basically they opened up, I believe, a gay bar down the street,
Yep.
and they had like multiple venues going on that block. They had all kinds of construction going through there for the light rail, and it really killed their business. And they
what I heard.
at the end of it, so they used to serve food in that place, and then all of a sudden the city shut them down. They weren't able to serve food there, and then they were having problems with the HVAC, so there wasn't ventilating systems that were up to code there, and they ran into a lot of not financial issues. Well, that too, but
Legal?
like Steve Ledeen, the guy who owned it, he's
yeah.
a lawyer, so
And his
he
wife-
knew,
his
and his
wife.
his wife was, I believe, she's a lawyer as well. But
One of them passed away, I think.
really, I don't know about that.
Either they divorced or one
I
of them
think
passed
I think they may have. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate on that shit because
Sorry
I don't
about that. I
really
should've
know. But
speculated,
it's the HVAC was the issue, and I think they had a little over $1 million worth of work that they needed to do the building to keep the venue going, and it just kind of
Really?
it was
all
it
those
was one of those-
headbanging, mosh pitting.
Well,
times,
it's kind of
man.
it's kind of like it's kind
Thank
of
you
like,
for not being safe. I love that place.
Yeah, that place was
Like,
awesome.
Seriously.
Yeah, we used to have a studio up there, sub-level studio up there.
Well, outside the
Studios
murder did too. I
there.
remember
Yep.
practicing up there a few times. Yeah.
Yep. That was a fucking mainstay, man.
At
You could-
Station 4, you practice?
Yeah, above
Above,
Station
yeah.
4.
But
was
Greg,
awesome.
do you remember how treacherous the stairs were?
Oh, dude, I've seen people fall down them fucking stairs, drunker and shit.
Not as
End up in the
treacherous
bottom.
as red carp or I'm sorry.
No.
It's
The
like
Keller Bar. The
Keller
Star
Bar.
Bar.
Oh,
yeah.
the What's Up Lounge, dude,
Bro.
yeah.
The What's Up Lounge is bad, but that's going up the stairs.
Walking
going
down
the
Kellers
stairs
in the
at
winter,
the Keller
bro, with
in
a
the winter
bass
is
drum.
like literally death.
I had a
happening.
bass drum in my hands. Dusty was actually, I think he was in front of me, and I was
He
following
slipped
him
and
with my bass
fucked me
drum,
up.
and I'm like, whoop, with the bass drum, landed on my ass end back, and I'm like, ow, that
That's
fucking
when we
sucked,
played with
but
Day Zero, by the way.
bass drum
There's-
didn't break.
Day Zero sucks.
Yeah, no shit.
It sucked ass, but we all laughed about it.
It was
and
so
then
bad
played a
getting in
sick
there.
show, so.
I debated back and forth multiple times on the way in and the way out whether or not I wanted to fall on purpose just so I could collect the check because it was such a fucking obviously just
dangerous situation.
Danger.
Yeah, they missed
From a
that
business standpoint, they should have like done something a little bit.
Yeah.
But anyways, I'm not here to bitch.
Homemade
about it.
steps. Come on,
Venues.
dude.
Right. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you guys coming in and taking the time to be a part of this deal, man. It's very cool.
Thank you for having us.
to talk to Chris again and actually hear your new band, man. And I think you guys are going to do really good at that Thrill the Fight show. It's going to be good.
Sick, man.
Yeah, man, it was an honor to be on. This is a lot of fun and
I
more
can't-
more fun than I thought it'd be.
Way more. It was awesome.
I'd love to come back at some point if we're invited.
Absolutely.
more.
I mean,
Absolutely.
even if we have to come back and not talk about us, we would totally be happy.
Yeah,
with
man.
it.
Oh,
we
yeah,
will just
sure.
come back and just talk about every other
Yeah.
band in
we
the
got to
scene.
get Zach back here, our singer.
Hell yeah,
Favorite
dude.
foods?
That would be awesome. That'll be the goal next time when he's feeling better and you get him in here and have a good time. Since you guys said he has his storytelling prowess,
Oh
I
my
enjoy
God,
that.
dude.
I like a good story, man. I definitely try to.
He's a
relay
good talker.
Good stories. So
It's definitely kind of nice that he's not here because then we get a chance to talk.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's
We
just
would've
like
made sure.
pick on the injured fucking drugged up guy.
we're just eating up the air right now, and it's like whatever like we say, like he's probably got a sweeter story than that.
Yeah,
so.
right.
And you know what?
Right.
Stories are great, but man, at the end of the day, that's great. Yeah, he's good at that. At the end of the day, man, we're here to either shred strings, bang skins, or scream vocals.
Yeah, right.
And at the end of the day, man, in my opinion, that's what matters. Here we go. Let's kill it for
I'm just-
2018. 2018, dude. Ritual Madness. Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
you guys
absolutely.
are fucking awesome.
Oh, yeah, man.
Greg, you're awesome.
Thank you.
And we can't wait to play our next show coming up
yeah.
March 3rd. It's gonna
Awesome.
be sick.
Awesome.
Thanks for your time.
Get out there
Seriously.
and
Thank
check them
you.
out, man. We've got one more song, number 12. Is it 12? Let me see here. No, 17. Let me look on the paper. You guys got it so nicely. Dive Bar Nightlife. That's what it is, right?
Correct.
This is a good one to end with.
All right. Good deal, man. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Again, check out ritualmadnesspodcast.com. You can catch all of the episodes in the episode tab. 170 up there. I'll have 171 up in the next week here and 172 shortly thereafter. You'll be able to hear this replay, and it'll be fun, and you'll enjoy it, and you'll share it with all your friends, and you'll be pining to get in touch with these guys to have them play your fucking backyard party this summer and drink all your beer and have a good time. So thank you for tuning in, folks. I appreciate it very much, and all the love and support. And we're going to go out with some Common Choir, and you guys have a good night. Yeah. Have a good one. Thanks a lot, guys. Peace out.
Peace out.
Ritual Madness Podcast. Ritual Madness Podcast. Ritual Madness Podcast. Ritual